Yeah, after I get done with this, I have to go finish editing the Love Never Dies, like part 2. Oh, hi.
Are we live? We are live. All right.
Yeah. It's like, good thing I wasn't saying anything like, oh man, I hate streaming over. Hi.
No. Good evening. Yes.
Turn up your mic volume.
Turn up my mic volume. Sorry. We've been having a little technical difficulty here.
Can you guys hear us okay?
Leftmost. Is that better? Is my mic volume better?
All right, I think it's okay. So thank you guys for joining us. Yes, I am writing the sequel to Never Dies.
So this is our first time doing a stream with 2 people, which involved like technical stuff that I'm not used to, which means, you know, difficulties. So forgive us.
Yeah.
But
big shout out to Paul for being our master of technology today.
We could not do this without him.
Yes.
This is Lindsay Ellis, in case you don't know her, members of the book club. She is in the book club in our Discord where we talk about the book. If you're not in the Discord and you want to join the book club, we have a chat where you can talk about the book all month. You don't have to just wait till now for the stream.
Yes, it's free. It's a public utility. It's
you don't have to be a member of my Patreon. You don't have to pay anything. You just come join.
You just want to read 1 vampire book per month, then that is the place to go. This is my fault. I am sorry. Like, I was the one.
Okay.
Like,
this month we read Crave by Tracy Wolff. And why did we read Crave by Tracy Wolff?
Okay, it's Jenny Trout's fault because she started a Jealous Haters book club. Because like Jenny Trout has a thing, and Jenny Trout is a colleague of ours. She's a romance novelist, but she has a section on her blog called Jealous Haters Book Club, where she reviews, you know, big budget books. But you know, she gives them a fair shake. And she read the first couple chapters of Crave, and she's like, hey, this is terrible. So I was like, okay, let's do Crave. So that is why I was like, let's do Crave. And Lisa was like, okay.
And the reason Jenny Trout was so interested in Crave is because it's published by Entangled Teen. And it was marketed as the Twilight for a new generation, the new Twilight, but feminist this time. And as you can see from the cover,
but feminist.
It really leaned into that. Like, if you look at this is Twilight, a copy of Twilight. They both have bloody flowers on it. Like, there's no...
This is like Stephanie Meyer could and should sue Mark like 4,000.
And according to Jenny Trout, who is my entire source for all of this...
so just this Jenny Trout's fault. Someone at her. Someone be like,
Lindsay and Lisa are talking shit about you. But no, I love Jenny. So she said that the reason she was interested in this is because of Entangled Teen's reputation, and their chief editor, the acquiring editor of this book, is apparently obsessed with acquiring the new Twilight, for which she could get a movie deal, and has tried it and failed many times in the past. And this was finally the success. This book has a movie deal.
Every book has a movie deal,
right?
Like that's like, I am super not impressed. Like getting a movie is one thing, but like getting like your book optioned, like if it makes the bestseller list, it's going to get optioned. Like, that's just what's going to happen. But like, I guess my attitude with the whole Twilight thing is like, the next Twilight is not going to be a carbon copy of Twilight, you know?
And boy, was this a carbon copy of Twilight. Did you see the app game that they came out to help market it?
No, I read the Kindle version, so I didn't.
There's an app game. It's a chapters game, an interactive like dating sim for Crave.
Yeah, so that sounds like more fun. Like, that makes way more sense to me. Honestly, yeah. Like reading, it's like, it's a little more Harry Potter-y than Twilight, because it's like shapeshifters and like were-dragons and werewolves and stuff. So I feel like a virtual novel of this, a dating sim where you actually get to choose who you end up with, that makes more sense than this.
And you don't have to choose the worst boy in the history of boy.
God, he sucks.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't read the book, the premise of this book is a normal everyday girl, her parents die. So she gets shipped off to a boarding school to live with her mysterious uncle and his daughter, her cousin. And this mysterious boarding school is in the wilds of Alaska. It's a castle, like a Harry Potter castle in the mountains of Alaska, covered in snow. And it turns out that it's a school for magical creatures. You have vampires, witches, werewolves, and were-dragons all go to this school. And this girl is the only human girl in the entire school, and she has no idea about any of this. And she doesn't learn about any of this until like 2/3 through the book. So most of the book is her just being like, why is everyone acting so weird? And there's this really hot, brooding, sexy, super dark guy who has magical powers, but I don't know why. Maybe he's an alien that's into me just all of a sudden, and a romance.
And it's so telly. Like, it's one of those things where he's just like, so this was a running joke that Elisa and I had like throughout the reading of this thing was, I don't know how many of you are familiar with our opus, but it is called Awoken, and it was it was crowdsourced as a book that was, it was, long story short, our audience at the time gave us a bunch of ideas and suggestions to create a book that was basically Twilight with Cthulhu. And there were a bunch of running jokes in it that were sort of indicative of like YA tropes at the time, like the ethnic third wheel, which this 1,000,000% has, the male lead who is like incredibly condescending and like just disses the female lead constantly.
Like, I must protect you because you cannot take care of yourself.
It's like, you are weak and puny and small, and like the female lead is constantly totally into it. It's just like, yeah, that makes sense. But then this went like above and beyond, because in Awoken, and we're getting the spoiler territory here, so just FYI, it is a book club.
We're reading Crave. We were so shocked by the similarities to Awoken that we were like, should we see?
Yeah, I was like, did she read Awoken? Because like, so the joke at Awoken, which was, I mean, we had seen it in YA books, but it wasn't like such a trope, which was this, the bad guy was a woman scorned, and we thought that was so funny. It was just like this idea of like this really sexy woman who was constantly dressing sexy, and she's just described as a woman scorned, but
and the protagonist is like totally intimidated by her.
Yeah, and she's always talking about how trashy she dresses, but we never find out what the scorn is, and we just thought that was really funny. And so the bad guy in Crave is like not only like the most beautiful girl in the school, she's also a woman scorned, and
has a particular vendetta against
she has a vendetta,
love interest.
And also she is going to do a human sacrifice, which also happens in Awoken. It involves a Necronomicon,
where
which
she
also
like
happens
has to
in
read
Awoken.
Out of the Eldritch.
She has to read out of like the Eldritch Grimoire. She has to do an incantation. There's an altar. There's like
and a chandelier that crashes.
There's a chandelier that crashes. There are like direct Phantom references. Like, it really did feel like this woman read Awoken and was like, I'm going to do this, but for realsies.
Yeah, and the ethnic third wheel, the guy that she's kind of into, that's into her, but she doesn't return the feelings because she's OTP with the brooding white guy. He's there at the climax too, trying to kill her too. Just like
God, like it's also funny. Like all of the bad guys are POC. Like I feel like
the Woman Scorned, she's Japanese. The third wheel, he's black.
Yeah, I was just like, I think she was going for some like David Diggs thing with the ethnic third wheel. I know that sounds bad, but it's a trope, where the Jake is always kind of like low key, not white, and she is, or like the protagonist is constantly being like, well, he's nice, but that white guy,
She's like, oh, I'd totally be with him if not for the white guy.
Oh man, yeah, but that white guy, he's just, he's so pale and such an asshole. I love it. I live for it.
Such an asshole. Like, he hates me so much. That means it's true love.
Yeah. So someone just asked, like, why does Flint try to kill her? And it just like, that's another thing about this book, is like, this book is just nonsense.
Yeah. So we find out that the love interest, whose name is Jackson.
With an X.
Jackson.
That was another thing. Like, I'm just like, I had such a hard time getting through this book because like every time the word Jackson with an X came up, I just kept thinking of like that one time I worked in an elementary school and every terrible like child, like the son of a doctor that has like a normal name but spelled wrong. Woof.
So Jackson is the most powerful vampire of all the vampires ever. But he had an older brother who wasn't more powerful than him, but he was a lot more evil than him. He's basically like vampire Voldemort. He's a supremacist. He wants to take over the world. And his power is that he can make anyone.
And he has a normal name, Hudson, spelled normal.
So Jackson kills Hudson before the book starts. And Hudson was Leah's mate. And when vampires
Leah is our beautiful bad guy.
Yeah. When vampires
she's the Japanese woman scorned.
And they can never mate again. They only have one OTP their entire life, their soulmate. And if that person dies, they lose them forever.
Yeah, so it's like full Twilight werewolf like imprinting. Like, oh no, my one and only.
So Jackson had to kill his older brother Hudson for the greater good of the world, even though all the vampires didn't like that. His own mom didn't like that. Now everyone hates Jackson, but he's so powerful, they're all scared of him. So Leah is going to bring Hudson back from the dead. And to do that,
so Jackson and Hudson brothers in arms, but with X's. Yes, thank you.
She needs an eldritch tome, and she needs to wait for the planetary alignment.
Right, yeah, there's an alignment which also happens in Awoken.
Awoken has an alignment.
Yeah, she's got to do the alignment to get Hudson back at the bed.
And it turns out that our heroine, whose name is Grace, not Bella, not Beauty, but Grace, she is the only person that has the right kind of blood for this ritual that she has to do. So she kills Grace's parents in order to contrive to have Grace sent to the school.
Yeah, because somehow she knows that like that's what's gonna happen. Okay.
Yeah. And Grace comes to the school and she's gonna use her at the exact time of this alignment for this ritual. And
so in that way, it's basically just the plot of Hercules.
Yeah. The planets align.
The planets will align ever so nicely. But if Jackson fights, you fail.
So, yeah, the woman scorned has to do this ritual to bring her dead boyfriend back from the dead because Jackson ruined her love. And even though she and Hudson were imprinted and she could never love again, because Jackson's now the new heir to like the most powerful vampire family ever, he's like the prince of vampires, she's now betrothed to marry him. So she's also like a romantic rival in a way.
I mean, that's new. Like, I guess that's the new thing that is kind of an upgrade from the normal YA tropes. That's another thing about this book. Like it kept lampshading itself. And I don't, here's the thing, like if you're a teenager and you didn't grow up with like YA paranormal romance being just like flooding the market, you're not going to get these references, right? Like you're not going to get how lampshady this is. So to me, it just read really frustrating, especially like during like the big action scenes where like keeps like basically looking at the camera and being like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You know, just, oh wait, hold on. I need to get my Kindle version because I took notes.
So there's this part where, sorry, I'm just moderating comments in the chat. Jackson's like, I'm too dangerous. You can't be with me because I'm the prince of the vampires. If I have a girlfriend, everyone will target that girlfriend. I'm basically Spider-Man. So I can't have a girlfriend. So I have to break up with you for your own good. And he sends her a copy of Twilight to be like, read this book for its warnings because I'm dumping you for the same reason that Edward tried to dump Bella. So read Twilight and then you'll understand why I can't be with you.
Yeah, it assumes like not only do you have familiarity with Twilight, but you're sick of Twilight, which is a weird thing to assume in 2020. Twilight is 15 years old, man. I also have a copy of Awoken.
As you should. Everyone should have a copy of Awoken.
Because I feel like it's hard to talk about this without talking about Awoken because it really made me rethink. It was like everything I know about Awoken is changed.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but it's going so fast, so I can't. So I'm not ignoring you, chat. It's just I can't.
Yeah, feel free if you have an interesting question, just like repost it once every like minute or 5 minutes or so.
Do that thing where it shows up big and blue. Yeah, so when we wrote Awoken, we were parodying tropes. So it's not like we came up with brand new original ideas that this author then ripped off. This author is using the same exact tropes that we were parodying. However, she's using the same exact tropes in the same exact way, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. No, I think that was the thing that made me feel like we should have just gone all in with this Twilight with Cthulhu concept.
Not make it a parody?
I mean, it's not a parody. That's the problem. Like, I think like rereading Awoken, I'm like, this doesn't really work as a parody because it's not as extreme as things that are already on the market, like Crave, you know? And because Crave has like
why'd we hold back?
The male love interest is so much worse. Like Jackson is so I'm just like looking at my like notes that are like, oh my god, I hate him, this is awful, oh my god, oh, there's the almost rape, there it is, it had an almost rape.
Yeah, so there's a scene where she's like, I'm bored at night, so I'm going to go explore the school, even though everyone told me to stay in my room. And she goes exploring the school, and then she gets ganged up by these two intimidating guys who turn out to be werewolves that want to just like chuck her out in the snow so she can freeze to death. It's that same scene from Twilight where Bella gets almost raped, and then Edward shows up in his car.
So that was another thing. Grace is from San Diego. Andy Slate is also from San Diego.
Andy
I'm like,
Slate from San Diego.
2013. Sue this bitch. Oh yeah, there was this weird strawberry scene.
Yeah, where Jackson like intimidatingly bites a strawberry, and then you find out later that vampires can't eat food, so she's like, how did you bite the strawberry? And he was like,
no, I highlighted that because she's like, why did you do that? And he's like, I don't know, it just sounded cool, I guess. And it's just like, okay, this is a teenager.
Like, were we supposed to think that was hot? But he's not a teenager, he's 100 years old, which they don't tell us in the novel. At the end of the novel, there are 3 bonus chapters, which are part of the novel, rewritten from Jackson's point of view, much like Stephanie Meyer did with Midnight Sun.
Yeah, I feel like Crave is Awoken fan fiction in the way that 50 Shades of Grey is Twilight fan fiction.
Yes. And in those rewritten chapters, we find out Jackson's age. We find out what mating is. We find out why he even talked to Grace in the first place. Like all this information that might have been good to know in the course of the novel.
I'm just looking at all my notes, and I feel like I should. We did not intend to be so down on this book. Like, I really don't think I'm doing myself any favors by like shitting on way more successful than me authors.
I'm just so frustrated because I had such high hopes.
Yeah, I was like, the first couple chapters were fine. You know, I was just like, okay, yeah, it's a little, you know, carbon copy, but whatever, that's YA, you know, it's kind of like romance. It always kind of follows the same basic rubric. I do not have a problem with that. The problem happens when like you get to like Jackson with an X and he's just like so awful. And like, I'm just looking at oh my God, he's just such like asshole.
This author has written 60 books and she's highly successful.
I also feel like you can tell that she's not super into the whole paranormal side of things. I think like just having looked into her, she seems to be much more of just like a traditional erotica author. And that's fine. Like, but she didn't seem terribly comfortable or interested in the vampire aspect or paranormal aspect. Although there was
the school aspect, like the fact that at this magical school,
no sense. It made no sense at all. Like, why is there a school? Who are these people?
And the only class she went into was literature school class where they talked about Hamlet. It wasn't like magic class.
Yeah. So, yeah, the school it's just nonsense. Like, there were just so many like basic premise things that I'm just like, I can't really get past this because like. At first I was like, this is cool. Like Denali as a setting I thought was cool. And she
straight out of Twilight because Edward goes to Denali.
oh god damn it. Well, okay, fine, whatever. But I was just like, okay, that's fine. Like the way it introduces this setting as just like being incredibly remote and really scary, and like, you know, the landing of the plane is terrifying. Like, I've been in Cessnas before. I was like, okay, so this is cool.
It's a good novel beginning. Like,
yeah, I was like, the beginning is pretty solid, and but then like the second they get to a castle is where my suspension of disbelief just starts crumbling. I'm just like,
it was a gorgeous castle though. I did love all the Gothic decor. Like the ceilings are painted red. I'm like, yes, this castle is going ham on the Gothic decor. I'm here for it.
yeah, like Faye Rivera said that like there's a lot of settings and concepts that could have been cool and should have been cool. I think my biggest like why did you drop the ball on this is the fact that like there are shapeshifters, and the reveal that they exist is not happened by someone shifting in front of our heroine, but by someone telling her about them off screen. And nobody shapeshifts until like the last 25% of the no, to the literally like 80% of the way through the book is where they start.
There's a scene where Jackson, our romantic hero, Grace, keeps getting almost killed. So she keeps getting hurt, and she keeps having all these like hurt comfort scenes. She can't do anything because she's constantly in bed because she's getting hurt all the time. And finally, Jackson thinks he figures out who's hurting her. So he goes and he beats up this kid. And in this time he's beating up this kid, it turns out this kid is like the alpha werewolf, but he's never been introduced before. We have no idea who he is. We've never even heard his name. We've never even heard that the werewolves have an alpha. And she says that she comes and she watches this fight. Jackson has telekinetic power, so he's just like force choking this guy.
Force choking, yeah.
Just like flipping him around the room. And then she says that all the wolves in the room start shifting and fighting, and the vampires are fighting the wolves, but she doesn't describe what the shifting looks like. She's like, and then they shifted and fought. And like, this is her first time seeing it. It's the audience's first time seeing it, and we get no description, as if we should have already known what this was, but it was never set up.
Yeah, that was another thing where I'm just like, again, I'm coming, like, you could probably see, like, hey, look what I just got in the mail today. Like, I'm just thinking of like the hell my editors put me through to make sure everything was consistent and everything made sense within its universe. And it's just like you had the copy editor, and then you had the clean reader, and then you had like so many people going through this book. And I'm just like, did they not do that?
It feels to me like it was a first draft that the editor went and
felt
said,
very like,
and they chopped out a bunch of stuff, and then that was it.
And yet it is twice the length. It is twice as long as Awoken. It is 500 eternities long. It is so long.
Crave.
I'm trying to find
Awoken.
I'm trying to find that note that was like, he said like you promised to tell me something. Oh, what was it?
You promised to tell me about your ankle.
Right. And I was like, but no, she didn't. She did not promise him that. She did not like. Why didn't anybody catch this? And there are a lot of like editing mistakes like that in the book where they will say something, or they will talk about a power like it's been established, or they will introduce a character like it's been established.
The scene where he's beating up the werewolf, she comes in and she's watching the scene, and she's like, he takes the guy that I can only assume is Cole, and he does this and this, and he does this with the, I think he must be Cole. Cole has never been mentioned before. We've never even heard of someone named Cole. We've never even heard of werewolves before. And then later on, a chapter later, where she goes and talks to Jackson about it, she was like, that guy you were beating up. He was like, oh, you mean Cole? She says, Cole? Was that his name? It's like, you were just thinking, yes, I knew it was Cole. A chapter before.
You know what? I feel like she's going to watch this, and then she's going to be like, that was your secret power, was knowing people's names. And then it'll be like, aha, that's not an editing mistake. That's foreshadowing.
About the name
Checkmate, libs.
Then she shouldn't have been confused about the name later. And also, when she goes to see that fight, she's been hanging out with Flint, and they've been like flirting. And then all of a sudden Flint gets a text, and he's like, vampires are doing vampire things. Let's go. And she says, I knew it was about me. Something about it told me that this was about me. And then she went off and goes, this is about me, isn't it? But we never find out why.
Yeah, so guilty pleasure time, because I don't want this to be all negative. I actually, like, she kind of steals from the Anne Rice thing, where in this
uses
universe,
the word preternatural.
Oh, good. I missed that. See, I swear she's read Awoken. But like in Anne Rice universe, when vampires bite their victims, it's like really great and pleasurable, and usually they die. But like this kind of does that, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually kind of into that. Like,
back to what you said about the erotica thing, it's like you could tell with this author because everything she describes about love is physical.
Right.
Like when she kisses him, like she has orgasms. Like when she's being bitten, she has orgasms. Like she describes it in this flowery language. And she says something about her parents. She's like, my parents were so in love. I could really tell this because they couldn't keep their hands off each other. So like the sign of what love is to her is physical.
Yeah.
And is like contrast to Twilight.
It is also like that. I kept thinking like teenage girls don't think like this, where she kept thinking like in terms of sexy and sexily and his hot bod and like that's not how, like, I don't know. Are there like youngs in the audience? I just feel like when teenage girls get a crush on somebody, it's not because of their like striking abs, it's because he's like a type, and he like said a certain thing or he looked at you a certain way. It very rarely has to do with how they look. And also like that was another note I did was like the DTF emoji. What the fuck is the DTF emoji?
It's the eggplant?
The eggplants? Yeah. I'm like, then it's just eggplants.
Yeah, so she sees him and she's attracted to him for two reasons. He's super hot AF. That's what it literally says. She like has this physical reaction to him that she cannot deny. She's just around him and her body's like going off like fireworks. And also the brokenness in her connects to the brokenness in him because he's got a scar on his face, right?
Yes.
Which he thinks makes him a hideous monster, but she says, no, it makes you even hotter.
He is full Buster Bluth. He is like, I'm a monster.
Which was a scene straight out of Awoken.
Yes.
Which, to be fair, we ripped off from Phantom of the Opera, but
because in Phantom of the Opera, he is legit a monster. Like, I feel like I'm a monster is fine as a narrative device. I don't have a problem with I'm a monster, but I feel like it needs to be a little motivated. And that's a sad thing about Awoken compared to this is because like in Awoken he is legitimately like that's the joke. He kills people, he eats people's souls. Like he's Cthulhu. Like when he says I'm a monster, it is absolutely categorically true. And in this it's just like he mercy killed his evil brother and felt really bad about it, and now he has this badass scar that his mother gave to him because his mommy doesn't love him. And yeah, a monster. Like, okay, sure, Jan.
So back to Twilight. The thing that people connected with Twilight was the vulnerability, right? Stephanie Meyer wrote from this really vulnerable place that spoke to people. And a lot of people will make fun of her for that.
Yeah.
But
and also
there's no denying it worked.
Yeah, Edward was nowhere near as huge of an Edward wasn't an asshole. Like he was kind of weird, not great with boundaries, but he wasn't mean,
Yeah. And there that vulnerability there. It worked. Like people fell in love with their dynamic, but this doesn't have that. This is all physical and telly. Like there's no showing that they connect at all. It's like this author doesn't get what love is. She's just like, it's hotness, right? It's sexiness. Yeah. It's like, let me just tell you how
slam and bod.
And there's this whole part where she says like, oh, he knew how hot he was and he knew what effect it was having on me and he was using it to his advantage. And that made me hate him because that's an asshole thing to do. And then later on, we find out that he didn't actually know. He thinks he's hideous. He doesn't know how hot he is at all.
Full Buster Bluth. Like, I feel like they should have called this school Milford. You can always tell a Milford, man. Children should be neither seen nor heard. Like, I feel like we're being way too negative because like someone in the chat was like, I liked this book, and oh my god, I don't know. To me, I'm just like, it was unforgivably long.
I wanted to like it so much, but it was just so badly edited. Like, it's needed like 3 more drafts.
Yeah, I was like
there. the tropes were there, but it wasn't done. They rushed this out.
I just think of like the hell St. Martin's Press put me through, like getting like your dates right and your facts right, and did you set this up? And I'm just like, see, like this technically is my publisher. Like this is from Macmillan. I don't understand how there are so many mistakes in this thing.
So many mistakes. Like, how did this get by?
Why is it so long? It doesn't need to be that long. There's
and
so
the author
many
brags about how long it is at the end too. She's like, wow, you read 152,000 words. Good for you.
Not in a good way. Like, because that's the thing with first drafts. Like, first drafts are usually too long. And when they are usually too long, it's usually because the first act is too long. And it is 1,000,000% that. Like this
if this was shortened to her finding out about vampires at the end of Act 1, like Bella does in Twilight, it would have been, a manageable length.
Yeah. Like this should have been at most the length of Twilight, which again, a TU is the Twilight unit of length, which is
this is New Moon, which is much longer than Twilight, but Twilight itself is like neat.
Twilight is 120,000 words, which is
cut out 30,000. There you go.
Incidentally, the exact same length. So my book is 1 TU. It's the Twilight unit. Twilight unit. Yeah. So I feel like Twilight unit is like your average book, 120,000 words. Except for debut authors. Debut authors have.
Yeah, and Twilight was a debut, but it's an outlier and should not be counted. You are not Twilight. You cannot be Twilight. Your debut book should be like Awoken length. Like you'd be lucky if you get an Awoken length book.
Even Awoken, because I'm just like, as I was reading this, I kind of had like criticisms of Awoken that it never occurred to me to have. But yeah, I feel like we need to talk about the hashtag feminism, because at first I was like, it does. But it did bother me because I'm like, this is not appreciably different from Twilight, other than the fact that it references Twilight, and kind of like looks at the camera sometimes and is like, it's like I'm in a paranormal YA book. Boop, boop, boop. And
feminist things in it that I was like checking off my checklist. She has female friends that she actually likes. She doesn't want to put up with his assholery. And when he runs away from her, she chases him. Oh, there's a point in the bonus chapters where he has the opportunity to break their mating bond. And he's like, I could break this bond and rescue her from my horribleness. And I could just do this without her consent. And then he decides not to, because he's not going to make decisions for her. Because he's a feminist.
See, that's the thing, like marketing matters. And again, because like I can speak to this because I do work with a marketing department under the Macmillan umbrella. I was just like, I need you to stay like 1,000,000 feet away from 2 words. One of them is YouTuber. The other one is feminist. Don't set up people's expectations like that. Because I mean, honestly, like whenever I see that shit, I assume it's going to like turn out like one of those bad Cosmopolitan articles from like 2015, where it was just like, women try manspreading for a week. It's just like this fundamental like misunderstanding of like how feminism even works, and like pop feminism is like the worst thing. Like it's just terrible. And there is absolutely like. I personally, I don't want to like go into a book thinking like, cool, this is going to confirm my politics. Like, I know some of those people are out there, but like, that's just not what I'm here for. And I think that's not what most readers are here for. So for them to market it like that was a gamble.
What I wonder is, did she write this book, pitch it, sell it, and they're like, hey, this is like, it feels more feminist, so let's lean hard into that. Or were they like, hey, prolific, famous author, we want you to write a book that's like Twilight.
But she's not famous in YA. So functionally,
she's an established author. Was she hired to write this? That's my question.
That's what it reads to me. I don't know.
It feels like written for hire.
Yeah. Well, were you because I was like, I don't want to, because we can talk about marketing and but like, girl, I can talk to you about how like marketing under Big 6 works. I'm sorry, Big 5. But you kind of implied that because when I was like I'm a little uncomfortable blaming her for the way this book was marketed, and you were like, no, she seems to have been well on board with the marketing.
I mean, all I know is what I heard from Jenny Trout. So I'm just like going off what she said. You should go read Jenny Trout's blog. She would see what she said and see if you agree. But from what it sounded like, the publisher of this was working hand in hand with the author to bring feminist version of Twilight to young women, because they desperately need that, because they've been denied that for so long.
Yeah. And there was nothing more meaningfully feminist about this than Twilight. Like, between the two, read Twilight. Twilight is a better book.
It's a better constructed book.
Better, like, characters. Yeah, the male protagonist is way less shitty. It's less racist somehow. It's got it all.
Yeah, the climax of this is the white male love interest bashing in the heads of a Japanese girl and a black guy, which
then the Japanese girl explodes.
Yeah,
because she's mooning over a white man.
Mm-hmm. And the only other POC character was the funny best friend of the white love interest, who was his funny black friend, Mikhail.
Oh, yeah.
And he served as like the bodyguard for Grace. So that's there were a lot of non-white people in this.
I realize, like, I'm not really in a position to declare one thing less racist than another, but my read is that Twilight is less racist than Crave, because
at least Twilight the book, not Twilight the series necessarily, but Twilight.
Yeah, the first book, like, it doesn't. Like, Jacob just shows up. He's just like this kid. He lives on the res. Like
he's
Jacob
not a werewolf yet.
Yeah, he's not a werewolf. Like, because I feel like Jacob in the first book is just like a normal kid who has a neighbor and like they're friends and it's fine. Like, it only starts to get weird in later books, and like he's not the bad guy. Like, it's just like, Jesus Christ.
And also, there's one queer character in this book. It's Grace's best friend from back home that she texts sometimes, which I'm like, yes, have a female character have pre-existing female friendships. Yes, please. But it felt very hammered in for that specific reason. Like, oh, our female character needs to have a pre-existing female friendship, so let's give her one that she is person that she tries to text all the time and always misses text from. And by the way, did we mention she's gay? And yet her cousin is introduced with a short, choppy rainbow haircut.
Right, yeah.
And then immediately is given a boyfriend to prove how straight she is.
Yeah, a boyfriend that never shows up. Like, I'm sure the boyfriend's going to be like whatever.
He's there in one scene where like at the party where Jackson eats a strawberry and she like sits in his lap and makes out with him, and Grace is like, awkward. And then the entire rest of the time, her cousin Macy is like, oh right, my boyfriend exists. Oops, I forgot about him. And I thought he was going to be revealed as like an antagonist later, like, you always forget about me and now I'm mad. But
yeah,
no, nothing ever happens with him.
Yeah, so about marketing. So I would argue that I do kind of feel like it's fair to say that, like, I'm not going to say it's like 1,000,000% the author's fault, but like I like the author, I think it's fair to say that, like, if they wanted to pitch it a certain way, the author was like, yes, I'm gonna lean into that. Mm-hmm. And I do think that's worth remarking on, because like I feel like in my case, if you like, I joke about how like I didn't write the copy, and that's sort of true. But it's only sort of true, because when you're dealing with these really massive deals, and I think this was probably the case with Crave, author does have a lot of power. And in my case, I didn't have a big deal. Like, I had I guess what you call a mid-list offer, and my did was, I'm including. You don't do anything without my say, and I have to get approval on everything.
Oh,
and
thank
so
you, Kevin Lechuga. Sorry, he sent us a super chat for 30
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we did it.
We're published.
We did it. But I think that is actually becoming more and more common, because I know in my case, like, they gave that with like zero fight, because they're just like, well, you're an influencer, I guess you know what you're doing, so whatever.
So it's not hard to believe that this author probably had some influence.
Yeah, I think I think it was probably a dual thing, but if I don't know,
Maybe she was hired to write it, writer for hire, and she was totally on board with doing
I doubt it was written for hire. I think she probably pitched it, and then they were like, yes, this is how we're going to market it. It's going to be Twilight, but feminist.
Like, I'll work that in.
And I think that's the problem, is like, normally it would never even occur to me to be like, let's talk about how it compares to the feminism of Twilight, because like the last big paranormal YA I read was a book called Blood Air. And like that one got famous because it was like the big book that got canceled last year for elf slavery. And like, I don't know what the original draft is, but I can read between the lines, like I could tell what people were probably mad about and what the author changed. And that was another book that was like, it was fine, but it was fast, and I appreciated that. Like, it was just that, which Crave was not.
It was a slog.
It was such a slog. And
I like fluffy YA. I like romance.
Yeah, that was why I was like, let's do this one. It'll be easy. It'll be so fast.
Readable. I thought it was going to be like Twilight. I'd be like, yeah, it'll be readable. It'll be trashy. It'll be great. I'm down. But no, it was hard.
Yeah. So when I say elf slavery, it's like the trend right now in YA is not vampires. The trend in paranormal YA is basically like Avatar: The Last Airbender fan fiction. And
it just kind of had, because it had like, they all had elemental powers.
Yeah.
The witches and the librarian.
And I think the most popular example of that right now is called Children of Blood and Bone. But Blood Air is very much an example of that. And it was another had like a 6-figure advance. And the issue in Blood Air was like the elementals, let's just call them that, are like, if someone finds out you're an elemental, you get like sold into slavery. And book bloggers got really mad about this, because they're like, this is disrespectful to oh god, yeah, it was a whole mess. Like, this is disrespectful to the American institution of slavery. It was just,
should respect that.
It was such a stretch. Like, it just really betrayed that like these people aren't really interested in how American chattel slavery worked. But anyway, and the author was born in China, and she, like, according to her, like, the whole idea of like the elementals being enslaved was inspired by like her seeing migrant workers in China and growing up with that and seeing it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt there. But either way, she pulled the book, changed, and released it. And so in the current version, they're not slaves, they're indentured servants, which makes no fucking sense. So
people think slaves shouldn't exist in fiction at all anymore?
YA is a mess. Like, I feel like I'm not doing any by pretending like it's not. Like, YA is a hot mess. I forget why it's up. But yeah, back to Crave.
Feminism. So there's
feminism. That's why. Yes.
Where Macy, the cousin, is helping Grace get ready for a date, and they have this long, rambling, dialogue-y get ready for a date scene that's very like quirky and cutesy and girly, and I felt like it was pushed in there for the sake of doing that feminism thing. It was like, look, girls being friends and being supportive of each other. But it was one of those scenes that could have been entirely cut out of the novel and nothing would have been lost. But also, it did the novel a disservice, because Grace is so happy and bubbly and everything, whereas the entire novel, she's been like, my parents are dead, I'm so sad. Then all of a sudden, she doesn't remember that anymore. In scenes like this, until she needs to remember it for a plot-specific purpose, and that plot-specific purpose is having an emotional connection to Jackson because he's broken too, because he has also known death. So it's this dead parent thing used as like a plot device that really frustrated me.
I don't know. Like I think the rationale in book to say like, well, what makes it feminist? Like at the very end, feminist. She so spoilers.
The very end.
The very end, the revelation is like what makes her special is she's a gargoyle.
Which is a thing, apparently.
Like in Gargoyles.
Thank you, Johnson Entertainment.
Thank you. So
gargoyles, we got were-dragons, werewolves, and now were-gargoyles, apparently.
So like Hudson with an X somehow does get resurrected. We don't find out how that happened, like in the last 2 pages, and he's there and he's got a sword, like look out, she's got a gun, like he's like look out, he's got a gun. So he's got like his sword raised, and she has this internal monologue moment of like, oh wait, he's not
supposed to be a feminist, right?
Yeah, he's not meant to be the hero of my story. I'm meant to be the hero of his. So so then it turns into Frozen. So she gets in the way of the sword, and it turns to stone, and the sword also.
It doesn't even describe that. It just cuts off, and then the next chapter we find out that she's a gargoyle. So we're assuming she turned to stone.
Yeah, so I guess she's turned to stone.
Doesn't describe her at all, and we're assuming Hudson turned to stone with her again. Not to
it doesn't explain it. It's cool. Yeah, so my problem here, I was just like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Where she says, I have to be the hero of this story. Jackson can't rescue me, I have to rescue Jackson, therefore I will be feminist.
But here is the thing, that's just Twilight. Like that's what happens in Twilight.
Like I'm gonna sacrifice myself to save my love.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens in Twilight like 8 times.
And if Twilight's not feminist, and this is like
there's nothing meaningfully more feminist in Crave than Twilight, except for they have more meaningless nothing scenes with her cousin.
And most of the time, she and her cousin talk about a guy. So if you're like, oh, it breaks the Bechdel test, I'm like, because that one scene where they didn't talk about the guy, that was clearly wedged in for the sake of that.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Crave?
Someone keeps asking what the vampires are like, and since this is a vampire channel, we could talk about the vampires. The vampires.
Okay, I did kind of like that aspect. I enjoyed the biting, and like how that seemed to be the only thing that the author was
sexy
into.
Biting.
Yeah, because like the sexy biting, because like when they bite, it's sexy. I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of get into this because like they're having fun with it, and it's actually like, oh, finally the vampirism is relevant to their relationship. Where she's like, oh wow, actually being bitten is fun, and I like giving my blood to you. That's cool. I'm just sort of like
a lot of blood though, and yet
I know. I'm just like, well, her marrow is working overtime. That gargoyle, but it's just like pumping blood out. It's fine.
Yeah, maybe it's her magical gargoyle DNA or something.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm grasping at straws here. I'm trying to find something to like. Sexy vampire biting. I was like, well, that's one good thing.
They all have different powers. Jackson has the most powers of all the vampires ever. His powers include complete telekinesis. He can fly. He can float. Oh, he takes her on
Anne Rice.
He takes her on a completely pointless date where they just go dancing.
Oh, it was just it was so Awoken where they go see Phantom.
He takes her on a completely pointless date. They could dance in the stars.
They go see Phantom. Go see Phantom. I read that last night, and I was like, as I was reading it, I just remember us like laughing hard at the absurdity of it, and like rereading it 7 years later, I'm like, this just looks like we're really into Phantom. Which is true.
Okay, so in every YA book of that era, the pre-2013 era, the heroine always had this like classic literature text that she latched onto, that she compared her romance to. In Twilight, it was Pride and Prejudice, and then Wuthering Heights.
In Crave, it's Hamlet.
Yeah, in 50 Shades of Grey, it's Tessa Duberville's. And in Crave, it's Hamlet. So in Awoken, of course, we made it Phantom of the Opera because we're us.
But we also, like, our other joke in Awoken was we thought it would be so funny if the author of Awoken had never actually read the book, but had only seen the musical.
Anytime she like references Phantom of the Opera, the novel, she's referencing the musical.
So she references things that happen in the musical that don't happen in the novel.
I wrote this scene in Awoken where she Riley gives her an illustrated copy of Phantom, and she's opening it to the illustrations, and they're just pictures of the musical.
Like, wow, the Phantom and Christine singing Don Juan triumphant on stage together. Yeah, no, Hamlet makes no sense. It's just like we have run out of.
Dad dies and her parents died.
Oh, okay. Like, I mean, I guess Hamlet is technically a revenge story where you kill your family.
Suicidal like Ophelia, like.
But I mean, I feel like that is kind of a reflection of the fact that like we are completely out of like books to put in our paranormal YA novels. Like,
we already did all the classics.
Yeah, like even by 50 Shades, we were down to Tess of the Dubervilles, which nobody has read. I'm sorry.
We're being so hard on this book.
I hated this book so much. This is like
it was so badly edited. It was not a finished book.
This was this was the second most hated book I've read this year. I'm not gonna say the first because it's a small author.
Oh, we don't punch down.
We don't punch down here at
we don't punch down.
Shea Apocalypse Productions, but.
So those of you who are in the book club may have noticed some similarities from this book to the last 3 books we read. Discovery of Witches, Sunshine. So again, we have a girl with latent magical powers who has never realized her magical powers before she meets her vampire like opposite. And her vampire opposite happens to be the most powerfulest vampire of all the vampires. This has literally been repeated 3 books in a row.
Okay, it's funny because someone asked me, like, does this rank above or below Shades of Grey, which was one of the books we reviewed for BYOA. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny because Jasper Fforde has a book coming out this month, and my book has been on the same list as his.
Sci-fi hardback?
Yeah, just like best sci-fi of July, stuff like that. And man, I hated that book so much. I think this one's worse because it had way more editing mistakes and was way too long. My problem with Shades of Grey was it was just like Ready Player One, but boring. You know, it was just like a basic white dude. Like, the way it wrote women was terrible. I don't know. On the other hand, like, this one had some elements and moments that I enjoyed where Shades of Grey had none. It was just dull, like, the whole way through, like, dull and misogynist. And this one just, like, had moments where I'm like, oh, I care now. I did it. I found something to latch onto. So I guess actually I'm going to give the edge to Crave.
I liked Flint as a character. I liked how charming he was. And
I liked the idea of Flint.
The fact that he felt he had to kill her, that kind of conflict is interesting to me.
I mean, that made no fucking sense. Like,
but then it doesn't get resolved and nothing. And then she like sees him again and she like smiles at him and like
when you go back and say like, okay, so all of these shapeshifters see her and they know she's going to be like an element that could bring back the bad vampire. Want that?
Well, according to the bonus chapters, Jackson and the other vampires in the order is like the fancy vampires, think that the shifters are going to use Grace as bait. Bait for what? Because no one ever actually ends up using Grace as bait.
But no one treats her with any ambivalence. And if they're manipulating her, it doesn't make any sense. And like when the two, like the almost rape scene where we're going to throw her into the woods and let her freeze to death, like why are they approaching it like with this sense of glee unless they
like,
are bad
we just fuck with you
people?
just to have fun.
Yeah, it should have been like, if that was the case, they should have like chloroformed her and just like
They should have been like, oh yes, our chance to save the world by killing this girl.
Yeah, and they should have like,
is the key to the end of the world.
Yeah, they should have like, you know, oh man, this sucks that we have to do this, like take a life, but I guess we gotta get, but no, they like take glee, and it's just like, it's so Twilight.
Just like assholes.
Yeah, that's like every one of these books has an almost rape scene.
And then Jackson shows up and he just like looks at them hard, and they're like, we're so scared.
Never mind.
So which is exactly what Riley does in Awoken. He shows up and looks at them hard.
Because he eats their souls.
He's swallowing their souls with his eyes.
Yeah. And then
Jackson's just like metaphorically swallowing their souls with his eyes.
No, they were trying to kill her, like Jane the Watcher. They are like teenagers that are in the Flint
if you
side.
Go outside in Alaska for 10 minutes, you die. Like,
yeah, so they're like, let's go outside and you should freeze to death because
werewolves don't die because they have like metabolism or something.
Oh, that was another thing I hated towards the end of the book, where she kind of has a moment with Flint where she's like, I understand why you did what you did, and I'm like, like, oh my god.
Flint is literally strangling her to death, which again, bad optics, this black man strangling this white woman to death.
Yeah, I was so like, no words. Like, we need to have a discussion about white womanhood and its relation to this genre, because like, holy shit, this book has a black man strangling a white woman to death, you know, for the greater good. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is just,
I'm so sorry I have to do this while I'm doing it. It's just, oh my god.
What can I say? But yikes. No, I didn't see any transphobia.
No, there were absolutely, trans people don't exist in this universe, apparently. No. And no gay people exist at the school, apparently. Only her friend back home from San Diego was gay, or maybe bi.
But oh man, I'm just, who was the editor? Sorry. Who was the editor for this? Where I'm just like, nobody.
3 editors in the acknowledgments. I was ready.
Nobody clocked like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have a scene where a black man is strangling a white woman to death, like for no reason either. It doesn't come to anything. Like,
yeah, because the white man comes up and kicks the black man's ass, and then it's over. She doesn't even rescue herself.
Yike. What were you thinking?
And then he goes and bashes in the Japanese girl's head, because, you know, white men don't have a history of violence against Asian women or anything.
Fuck. Yikes. Do you guys have any other? I wish I had something, because like normally Lisa does this by herself, so she's way more diplomatic than I am, where I'm just like actively trying to sabotage my career, and I'm like, fuck them kids.
I don't think Tracy Wolff is going to come from us. She either read Awoken and ripped us off and she knows what she did, or she does not care at all.
Oh yeah, I had like 6 million notes. Yeah, because that's the thing about sensitivity readers. Oh, my iPad. There. Yeah, sensitivity readers, the author has to take care of that. But that said, in my experience, I had more than one level of white people clock certain things, like, are you sure you want to phrase it that way? You know, stuff like that. And I don't have anything near the level of black man strangling a white woman. So I don't get it.
I mean, when you're an author at this author's level where you have 60 published books, I feel like a lot of things slip through the cracks. It's definitely a quantity over quality thing. And she's not old. Look at her. She's like young and sexy.
She's like our age. Yeah.
Look at her. Young and sexy. Like, and she has 60 published books.
Oh my God, you guys.
8 a year.
You guys need to see my horrible author photo. Oh no. I look like Oh my god. No, it's like fucking like senior, not, it's just like homecoming. It's garbage.
You look like an adult.
Which is not appropriate for this book. So yeah, that was why this is the only time I'm ever going to use this photo. I got some better, more on brand ones that I took with my iPhone.
After you paid that photographer all that
money. I mean, that was the thing, is I took those photos just after the stay-at-home orders came down, and we could only do masks on in my patio. Yeah, I kind of regret it because I don't like any of them, but I've got better ones now. We went to the Queen Mary during that week when things were open, and it's good.
Before California was like, never mind.
Yeah, now we're back into full never mind mode. I should just go ahead and find a giant bumblebee to stand under, and then just have a bucket dropped on me, and just be done with it.
Just do a take me now.
Yeah. No, getting peed on. John Turturro. Yeah.
You have Photoshopped in some tea.
The only picture I don't like. I don't like anything.
I've known you for 25 years. You've never liked anything ever.
Yeah, I've never liked anything. That's why I get paid the big bucks. Because we just got these books in the mail, because these are my free copies, and my husband was just he's not great at giving compliments, but he was just he's just I really like the cover, and I think you actually did a really good job with the title, and I'm I need to strike you down on all of these counts, and here's why. Point one, like Alexander Hamilton being here's a list of 30 years of grievances,
It's don't you dare compliment me.
Yeah, it's not allowed.
You don't know.
All right. Well, do we have any more comments about
any more questions about the book that we can answer for you? Any more thoughts
or comments? It is a two-way discussion.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts about the book. What did book club? So we had quite a lively discussion about this book in the Discord of the book club. For the past few books, there's been a discussion, but it hasn't been anywhere near this level. So if you're interested in joining the book club, it's hopping. Come on over to Discord. People are saying stuff, and we hide spoilers, so you don't have to worry about getting spoiled. It's a time.
Raylo? Is that an actual conspiracy?
How can the movie adaptation fix this book? Well, they could introduce the characters earlier. They could set up the motivations of the villains earlier. I feel like a movie would do that well, because we'd be able to see things not from Grace's point of view.
Yeah, we could set up the Eldritch Grimoire.
Instead of Grace spending the entire time sick in bed recovering from all her injuries, we could be
that's half the book too.
It's and then I twisted my ankle, and then I lost a lot of blood, and then I hit my head, and then I had sickness. It's just she's always in bed as an excuse to avoid her finding out about the magical school, because her family would have told her about it earlier. They weren't trying to keep it secret, but she just kept getting sick, so they couldn't. That's why the end of Act 1 happens 50% through the book.
When will we have a discussion about Axiom's End? Probably never.
It's not a vampire book, so not on this one. Though I have read it 6 times.
Arguably some alien cannibalism, but only off screen, and it's very speculative.
I've probably read it more than anyone else.
Yes.
I read it.
Yes, you probably remember the many lives of it better than I do.
It is a Hades Persephone story, so
I was kind of digging back into my Google Drive into really, really old documents, and I guess this isn't really a spoiler, because the sort of the opening dynamic is sort of a daughter thing, where father is thinly veiled Julian Assange character, but back when I was brainstorming him, I had this idea of him as sort of a YouTuber, but this was before there were like these, you know, reactionary YouTubers that had like, you know, panels that would come after people on the day-to-day. So what I'm saying is I was ahead of the time. I saw what was coming.
But would he have been a YouTuber in 2007?
No. That definitely dropped that angle.
So the thing that Lindsay and I have in common is the like my monster boyfriend trope.
Yeah, it's funny because like the last podcast I was on, we were talking about how like the marketing buries the shit out of that lead, and how every single blurb
how you got it sold in the end, right?
Yeah, it was like every single blurb that we got from professionals like John Scalzi and Hank Green and Shannon McGuire are like, yeah, it's got some ideas. Like, they don't talk about the content.
It's so profound for society.
It really makes you think.
Yeah.
My goal is I've had a couple people tell me that it kind of just like I didn't know I was into this, so that's my goal.
She'll get you into that.
Yeah, no, Carl. Let me just say that Hank's book and mine have a lot in common.
I think they're talking about the Carl that lashed out yesterday.
What? No, they're talking about Hank's Carl.
Oh, okay.
I assume, like, the fun Carl. But, yeah.
I haven't read Hank's sequel yet.
Well, Carl is a much bigger presence in Hank's book. Do I regard my book as feminist? Why don't you answer that one first? Is your book feminist?
Lindsay's book is feminist.
No, it's not. I told you answered about your, not mine.
My book? No, because women need things. I don't know. Women aren't allowed to need things.
Yeah, I hate the is this feminist discussion, and I noped the fuck out of it because I think that's another thing that I'm really sick of in SFF is just this, you know, sad puppies has it, so we need to wear our politics on our sleeve, and I don't know, I find that really.
So what makes the book feminist?
To me it's sort of like
be feminist.
Yeah, it's like death of the author. Feminism is a theory that you read a thing through and it is a little subjective.
Yeah, if there's one thing in there that does not align with your feminist ideology, does that make the book not feminist?
Mm-hmm.
If the author is feminist but the book is not, what does that mean?
Yeah, because I'm like that was a thing I intentionally steered away from because I think that's going to be a really dated way of looking at media targeted towards women, because whenever people say the word feminist in this 2010s context, it's going to be this really pop feminist, like girl boss nonsense that personally I don't want anything to do with.
Like the end of Crave. Oh, I have to be the hero. Oops, I forgot. In the last 6 pages, I'm going to remember that. And now I'm the hero.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan.
When you're dealing with the my monster boyfriend trope, which is my jam, there's always going to be a power dynamic thing going on. And I don't know how feminism fits into that. So I'm not saying it doesn't fit into that. It's just complicated.
And that's another discussion that has been had in SFF, and it makes me a little because it kind of ties in with this whole fandom thing about like aunties and not being able to write things that are problematic, because that's what it's like. These are things that I did not like about Crave. I didn't like the way it portrayed race. And that is just me. I thought it was like kind of irresponsible, but is it going to make somebody go be racist?
Trying so hard to have such a multi-culti cast. It put in all these minority characters. Where did it go wrong?
It's like, whatever. It's just my reading, but like, I'm not saying that Crave shouldn't exist. I'm not saying that she's a bad person or did anything wrong.
More than a lot of authors do.
But like anti-culture is just...
Yeah. It's like,
it's
we're
so
not going to
tiring.
cancel Tracy Wolff over the fact that there's problematic race content in Crave.
Yeah, this idea that like you have to be very on the nose with your morals in fiction, I hope is a temporary thing. Because I'm just like, this can't last, you know. There should be room for like uncomfortable, like in this case, power dynamics, right? Like that's sort of why people like that trope, and
There
why
have
that
to be
trope's
problems in
exploring.
fiction, otherwise there's no story to tell.
Yeah, it's like every relationship is in some way about power dynamics and the exchange of power dynamics. And I think Crave actually does explore that. It does it really clumsily and thoughtlessly, but it tries.
More drafts, and it might have been there.
And I think like it gets that. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, you know, Crave could have been fine if it had had a better editor and had a few more drafts and cut 30,000 words out. But I think, yeah, it's just this discussion about power dynamics kind of disturbs me a little bit, because
having imbalanced power dynamics isn't inherently not feminist. There's a feminist way to approach that. I don't.
Well, I say there's a feminist way to read it. I don't think a writer can be feminist, you know, because feminist is a way of reading text. It's like death of the author. It's like it's not a, you know, a writer can be feminist, but is the text feminist? Well, that depends on the reader. It is actually subjective, because what is feminist actually does vary from person to person to person. So like that's why this thing just feels kind of basic, I guess is the only word I can describe it. Like, this person just isn't very deep in the academic literature, you know, like they're not, she doesn't know what
it really
she doesn't know what she's talking about.
It felt like someone told this author, these are feminist things, having a scene like this, having a dynamic like this,
having her save him.
Yeah, let's put that in the book. Let's just add it in. Just, you don't have to change anything. Just put it on top of the words you already have. All right, good, done.
Plato's cave, what is feminine? I mean, I think about the cave all the time, but wake up, think about that cave. I don't know. I kind of wish we would get away from because I think discourse is fine. I think discourse is good. I think discourse is how we create, you know, how art evolves, basically, like especially pop art. But like is this feminist question, I find it's like the only people who are asking it are people who are trying to commodify it for capitalist reasons, and I find that really boring. And
like, can I make money off of this from the right audience?
Yeah. Anyway, that's my hashtag feminist take. Is my book feminist? No. Please do not go in expecting it to be like this woke thing. You will be disappointed. Because it's like
about a person with feelings.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm so sick of this like fiction as polemic. Like, it just doesn't interest me. It's a book, it's a story. It really, I swear to God, it does not have a political slant. Like, people who have been talking about being confused about the politics, it's just like, I'm really not trying to say anything, I swear.
The book asks questions.
Yeah, like I didn't want to come on a side. Like, that was the other thing. Like,
it kind of reminded me of Octavia Butler that way, where it's just like, here are the questions.
That's like the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Now think about it. Go home and think about it. And you work on you.
Yeah, let's go back to that. Like, just open ends. It's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna get so many antis, because I like, this is a joke that I've had for years, but I'm just like, the ending of the book, the feminists are gonna be mad.
Oh, you know how this book ended with like them in a hospital room and him like crawling on the bed with her?
Spoilers.
That's how Twilight ended.
Oh yeah. That is how Twilight ended. I am signing cards. Yes, I have a deadline.
If you order an autographed copy of Lindsay Ellis's book, you could get it signed by the signing that she's signing right now.
Yeah, you need to go to one of the virtual book tour that is in my pinned tweet on my profile. But no, antis is like, it's kind of a new fandom term where it's like people are not fans of a ship. They mobilize by hating a ship, which is
like, your ship is problematic, so that gives me a moral superiority over you, so I'm going to use that to make myself feel better about myself.
right. Yeah, woke scold is a shitty word, but you know. Oh, thank you, Tony. Yeah, I feel like antis are not new, but us having a word for it is new. Because I remember, I kind of feel like I was an anti like for a month. When I first got into Phantom fandom, because we were like
the
very
week we met.
Yeah, like that one week.
Very week we met.
I was like, fuck Raoul, like, and Angie and I started like the fuck Raoul club. And then a few years later, there was the like after the movie came out, there was like a new group of mean girls on the Phantom forums, and like they were like flagging every Mary Sue and calling it hate speech. So yeah, it's not a new dynamic, but that we have language for it, I think, is new.
Any other questions about Crave? Any thoughts about Crave? If you're in the book club and on Discord, anything we discussed there that you think we should bring up that we haven't already?
Paul, can you link to the Discord, because I've seen a few people.
The link is in the description of this video if you want to just go to it there.
But yes.
Also, Paul will put in the chat, hopefully, if he is listening to us.
Yeah, I think the difference between antis back in 2005 and antis now is that antis have a what you like in fiction is what you endorse in real life. And like the most recent encounter I've had was like with Beetlejuice fans, where they think that like shipping Beetlejuice with Lydia is equivalent to condoning pedophilia, basically.
That's a big thing in the Anne Rice fandom too, because there's one very popular character who is technically 17, but he's 500, but everyone is just like, you are sexualizing a teenage body, how dare you.
And it's kind of like, it's like, again, it's fiction, it's kind of hard to like do the one-to-one thing, but like sorry, I've got some dogs, but yeah, I don't know, I'm just like, I'm not, that's not what grooming means. like I because I remember like when Charlie and the Chocolate Factory came out, the Johnny Depp movie, I remember like looking into like the fandom for that, and it was dark. Like it was like immoral, like way more immoral than anything that Beetlejuice is doing right now. But at the time we were kind of like, okay.
I mean, in the Beetlejuice context of the show, they're not romantically interested at all. The fandom does that because
do. And yeah, that's sort of like the interesting thing about anti-culture is it's saying like that if you're okay with that, then you endorse it in real life. And I'm just kind of sitting here thinking about how like when I was 16, all of the mental energy I spent trying to like rationalize my crush on Will Smith and how our 16-year age difference could totally work, and it's totally fine and it's totally normal and Jada's cool with it. Like I had like the biggest crush on Will Smith. Like I don't think I've ever had a big crush on anyone as I did on Will Smith. And I'm just like, the way that they like moralize Beetlejuice fan fiction kind of feels like they're going after girls who are just into that dynamic. It's just like,
and they're all so young. It's like children going after children. It's just like, babies, why?
Yeah.
Thank you, JRL Studios, for the $4.99.
And I think the other thing is like,
awesome.
you can't think Gerald. And also your art is great. You do good work.
Your art is amazing. I shared your art with someone recently and it blew their mind. I forget the context, but it happened.
Yeah, but anyway, I look at this stuff and I feel like it's teenage girls shaming other teenage girls for what they're into, which I don't like. And
or teenage girls trying to shame 30-year-olds for being like, how dare you like this? Right. Shouldn't you have grown out of fandom by now?
Because that's not what grooming is. Like, grooming by definition kind of requires a one-on-one relationship where someone is like training someone to accept unacceptable behavior. And so like they use words like grooming and like to feel apologia. I'm like, guys, it's fan fiction. It's just fanfic. It's just fanfic.
Fanfic is where you go to do your questionable things safely.
Right. Like everything you like is sus. Like it's
the My Monster Boyfriend is sus because power dynamics exist.
Yeah, everything is sus, and that's fiction. It's fine because I feel like people have lost scope of the fact that like fiction is kind of where you go to feel out like dynamics or ideas that you would never engage with in the real world. Like this is your safe space to kind of feel this stuff out. And it's kind of like irony. It's and that's sort of like the weird thing when you look at like other darker parts of the internet where people feel stuff out and decide that they like it there, like ironic anti-Semitism, for instance. Like that usually turns into non-ironic anti-Semitism. But I think like in the case of fan fiction and just fiction in general, like that is where people go to kind of feel ideas out in a safe way. And in a lot of times they would feel ideas out that would never be acceptable in the real world.
And a lot of it has to do with like age play, May December romance, like that kind of stuff, because these are young authors writing these things.
Yeah. Or like
fetishes for like stuff beyond their years,
or some like fantasy, like this is the elf in power and these elves are the lower class and there's a interclass romance, and you could read
actual published fiction where you have the Nazi in love with the like
don't do that, like don't do that, like
there's a difference there is a huge difference there in it.
That's the other thing. It's just like you could have fascist elves and the underclass elves, and like maybe there's an allegory to be read into it, but like whenever you jump into like that's different,
especially when it's published by like a big five, and then touted as desirable romance.
Yeah.
Like the problem people have with Twilight so much is just like, this is an abusive relationship and it's framed as romantic, and teenage girls are getting their idea in this head that this is the kind of man they should aspire to having in their lives.
It's not how relationships, I don't know. People
like having a fantasy about a vampire boyfriend who maybe stalks you a little bit does not mean you're going to be messed up for life.
Yeah, it's like people learn how to do relationships from their parents. Like they don't learn it from Twilight. I think like the idea that like people are going to read Twilight and be like, oh, this is going to erase everything I've ever learned about how humans interact, and
all I want is a
rubric of an acceptable relationship. Absurd to me. And like this whole like think of the children thing, it's just like this idea that teenagers don't have critical thinking is also kind of insulting, and like that's another problem with YA, like the whole discourse sphere around it is that people don't trust teenagers to be able to like kind of parse out what they think is okay and what isn't, what is fiction and what isn't, what I'm into and what I'm not, like when that is the period of your life when you should be trying to figure that out. And like the real danger is from people it's not from fanfic. Unless you're being radicalized, but that's a totally different discussion.
There's always an unless, but we're not here for the unless. We're here for the
this idea like teenagers cannot like morally compass, and therefore we need to police everything that they read is just, I'm not here for it.
Young women think Edward is romantic. We must not let them.
Yeah.
Just let them know what a real man is like.
Just let them have their Edward. It's fine.
He watches her sleep. Nothing more horrifying than that.
And especially all the bad YA. Twilight is tame. Like that. Like I think that's my thing. Where I'm just like, people hold this up as the paragon of an abusive relationship. I'm just like,
and
guys.
The fact that she's 100 and she's 17, and it's just like, oh, pedophilia. That he's trapped in this 17-year-old body anyway. So, what's he supposed to do?
It's funny, Isabel Carlotta, about me losing a Hugo to AO3. I actually have an article that went up today on AO3.
Don't read Lindsay's article. She's
they approached me.
This is the only time you'll hear about it.
I'll promote it tomorrow. I was like, we've been inundated with
today's been a day.
A different Carl. A different Carl decided he was gonna have some opinions about.
So if you don't know, I'm the moderator for Lindsay's YouTube channel. So if you've ever left a comment on her channel that mysteriously disappeared, you're welcome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a long day. Not just on YouTube. Like they've been coming for me on Instagram. They've been coming on Twitter, but like they're not very they don't have very many talking points, let's just put it that way.
You're just repeating what he says over and over again. Like,
yeah,
they're like little repeat robots.
I do like, because I didn't watch it, but like I do kind of wonder, like, did he tell them to do this thing, or are they just,
did he do a call to action, be like,
yeah,
Lindsay's video,
like the link is in the description, now go make her feel bad.
They're downvoting you.
That's still engagement, buddy.
I mean, I banned no less than 2,000 people from your channel within the last 24 hours that were just people there specifically to harass you and lie to like attack you. So not even people that like said a thing that was bad. Like being a moron is not a bannable offense, right?
Right.
People that are specifically antagonistic that are trying to like hurt.
Yeah, because we don't ban dumb comments. We don't ban ignorant comments, but we do ban antagonistic comments. And especially like in this case, like, so yeah, I had a colleague once upon a time that was an abortion activist, and she had this video up on her YouTube channel that was just like her talking about like her experience and how like she was on kind of ambivalent about it, but like, you know, it was just kind of like this really honest thing. And like the comments were, of course, just a trash can. And she was like, I'm thinking of disabling comments. And I'm like, why? Fuck them. Fuck these guys. And she was like, yeah, but people who are actually kind of looking for me and looking for this are going to see that. And they're going to see how horrible people are to women who get abortions. And so my attitude is like, I do not care. Like, I'm like, Carl, you cannot hurt my feelings. But I am
about all the trans women watching your
right.
video, seeing those comments. I don't want them to see that transphobic shit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, if you are, you know, if you're like a trans person who comes into this and then you read the comment, it's just full of like this trash, that's gonna minimally
let transphobic shit exist. I'm gonna like erase
it. Like they just come in, you come into my house and try to shit on my floor and then like yell at me like burp, 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 free speech. Like no,
you swept my shit out the door. Like of course I did. They're like, what if you're not open to debate? What are you even here for? I'm here to say what I came to say, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like, maybe make some people feel better, hopefully. Yeah, oh, thank you, Jensen Entertainment, for the $2. Yeah. How do you put up with it? How hard? It is hard, but it is my job, and she pays me very well.
It's not hard for me. Like, I mean, it just
pays the health insurance for my entire family, all like my 2 children covered.
Yeah, I get rain, so I don't have to worry about it. So,
it's hard.
It's just like, no, it's really hard. I'm suffering. I'm dying. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I honestly, in my case, it doesn't hurt me anymore. Like, I don't have nerve endings. Cause I don't see the YouTube comments, but I see them everywhere else. Like I've been getting Instagram messages and it's just like, it's a little bit bewildering, but, it just does. I don't have any more fucks left to give. I just don't care. Yeah, it's deadening. Like, years of harassment is genuinely deadening. I don't care anymore. So I mean, like,
to me once, and she's like, I'm a little worried about your mental health. Like, are you okay seeing all
like, I came to you, like,
vitriol, like, just onslaught day after day after day, all these like antis, and I'm just like, I'm dead inside. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but yeah, it is everything. Just like years of harassment. Just I think my only problem with, like, I'm glad I don't care more, but it does kind of make me dead to good faith criticism too. And it makes it really hard to parse the two, to be honest. And I think a lot of people who try to give me good faith criticism don't get that. And
like, how can you take it when it's just this like wave after wave after wave, and then someone comes along and they're like, I'm just trying to help, and you're like, I can't right now.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't, like, it's not just right-wing reactionaries. It's like, there's lefties too. And like, honestly, some of the worst harassment I've gotten in the last year has been from lefties. And like, you know, it's just like bad faith readings of things I've said, or in some cases outright lies, just making shit up whole cloth, saying like I called so-and-so a slur. Like, that was one thing I had to deal with last week, and it just fucking pisses me off. Or I'm just like, you're lying about me, and you're expecting me not to notice. So that does get to me when people just like straight up lie and spread those lies like it's nothing, like I'm not gonna notice. Well,
thank you, Zachary Jude, for $5. Thank you so much. No way makes up for your troubles, but I have so much admiration for you too. Thanks for fighting the good fight. It is a fight.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, and thank you, Jensen Entertainment. But yeah, again, to quote ContraPoints, here's to not giving a fuck.
My wine is empty. Someone asked what our drink of choice was earlier. Well, thank you, John Burns, for the Canadian $2. Canada is awesome. In the Titanic video, yes. My drink of choice tonight was white wine, because I have found out I am allergic to red wine, which is the saddest thing that's happened to me this year.
Oh, was that the thing? It was red wine?
It was one of the many things.
Oh, so it was like a group of things.
Mm-hmm.
Was it tannins?
I don't know. I see the results.
Damn.
Which, if you know me, you know how sad that makes me, because I don't drink not wine.
Well, there's always Henny or White Claw.
I live off Captain Morgan's private stock. You know, that spiced rum. That's my jam.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to keep liquor out of the house because I'm trying to wean myself off, especially this week. So yeah.
Week. It's coming.
Is it sulfites? Is that the thing?
It's something like that, along those lines. Oh, thank you, R. Sullivan, for the $5. You guys are awesome. You are awesome, R. Sullivan. Thank you. It's been a week. I know it's only Monday, but last week is part of this week. Like, last week,
I legitimately thought it was Saturday. Like, I came downstairs and handed Nick, my husband, this like packing slip for these book plates I'm signing, and I was like, all right, so I know tomorrow Monday, so just get it, I don't know, get it to the place tomorrow. And he's like, it's Monday, today is Monday. And I'm like, oh my god, like, my brain.
Because you released the J.K. Rowling video last Sunday, right? And
time,
that was a big like time thing for me, because the comments were massive. And then I recorded 3 videos on Wednesday, edited them all, posted them all, and then this like harassment campaign started, and I've been managing that. It's been a week, and I'm like, what day is it? I don't even know.
Yeah,
orange wine.
So it's actually Monday. But something specific that inspired the Titanic video. Just, we needed something chill,
because it's good.
Yeah, chill and nostalgic and like.
So we're in quarantine, right? And we're all lonely. We miss our friends. So Lindsay's like, let's watch movies together. Let's watch movies we like. Let's watch Titanic.
Like, you know what? Titanic is good. And then I was like, well, you know what? Let's make a content out of how Titanic is good.
Thoughts.
So that was like just legitimately it. It's just like me watching Titanic like 18 times and just like dragging people onto Zoom. Like, come on,
that's what we do on Wednesdays.
I'm flying.
Well, thank you, Tony Parker, for $5. You both for everything. You two have been such an inspiration. Well, I'm glad you are inspired. Thank you.
Yeah, let's deliver us donuts because stay-at-home orders just came down again here in California.
I haven't left home anyway.
I mean, I haven't, like, it changes nothing for me because I have kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm not going to see anybody for at least 9 months, probably. Jesus.
I was going to come out and visit you guys this summer. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, I feel like even Christmas is going to be
maybe Christmas.
An asterisk. Yeah, but your dad is... Oh yeah, it's like a tough call because he's getting up there, but he's also in
the cancer like 4 times by now.
The demo, like, I don't know. Maybe you should just stay with us and then quarantine for a week, and then you can go stay with him. Are we gonna do more Thing Good content?
What's next?
I don't really, honestly, like July 21st, which is the day my book comes out, is like was just like the end of the world in my mind. I don't have anything planned.
Like nothing happens after that, right?
Yeah, I was just like, that's it.
You've been working very hard on the sequel. The sequel is in the works, coming out.
Oh yeah, it's
fall 2021.
Yeah, fall-ish. Axiom's End 2, Truth of the Divine. Midnight Sun, is that going to be on the VBC?
The book club?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, JRL Studios, for another $4.99. At least you are a boss. Just finished Commentary is Best. Not distracted. Oh, yes, I read Carmilla on my channel. Abigail Skywalker, thank you. Yes, you are a book club member. I recognize your name for like half of Bloody Mary for the next Vampire Book Club. Yes, thank you so much. Hey, if I make it at home, it's cheaper. $5 will cover a Bloody Mary. A Midnight Sun on the Vampire Book Club. So the way Vampire Book Club usually works on my Discord channel is we vote on a book. Usually I'll recommend 3 books that I own already, because the reason I started the Vampire Book Club was because I have 300 vampire books, of which I have read maybe 75, and I want to read them all. But I run a book club in the Meat Space that's for sci-fi and fantasy, which includes vampires, right? But nobody in my Meat Space book club wants to read vampire books. So I started this Vampire Book Club on the internet just to read specifically vampire books of the books I own. So I recommend 3 books and I let the club vote and they choose the book we want to read next. And I don't own Midnight Sun because it doesn't exist yet. I'm sure I will own it because how could I not? I'm a completionist. But it is a $27 hardback adult book. It is not being marketed as a YA book like Twilight was. YA books are usually much more affordable, much cheaper. I don't like putting books to my book club that are hard to access, because usually if you can get it from a library or something, it's usually an older book. It's not something that's high in demand. So maybe it will be available down the line, unless the book club demands it, in which case, sure. Yeah, let's make it happen. We'll see. The only reason we did Crave this month was because Lindsay demanded it. And I said, you know what, Lindsay, we've been friends for 20 years. Come on my stream. Let's talk about it together. I'm lonely. Nobody ever talks about vampire books with me. And it made it happen. You may have noticed she's left now. I'm just kidding. Oh, thank you, Nick Wilhelmy, $4.99. Thank you both for your work. I really enjoy your video essays and look forward to reading Axiom's End. You should. I've read it 6 times. I've read it more than any human in the world because I was one of Lindsay's multiple beta readers, and it is good and you will love it. So what is next for Vampire Book Club? I should probably tell you, I have suggested 3 books. So far, for every book that I've put to a vote, except for Crave, which wasn't to a vote, I just decided to do that because we were excited about it. Of all the books we suggested, we've always chosen books written by white women. So this time I suggested books written only by men, just to like try something different. And they were all books that were about Dracula, which was mainly the thing, and they just happened to be written by men. So the book that won the vote for next month's book club. Oh, thank you, Doctor of Odd, $4.99. I'm prolonging the suspense. You guys read/listen to the new Vampire the Masquerade books? It's super bleak, but pretty good vamp fiction. I have not done that yet. So the book that won next month's book club is Dracul by Dacre Stoker and J.D. Barker, which means J.D. Barker wrote it and Dacre Stoker consulted on it, because I've met Dacre Stoker in person and he tells me he is not a writer. He does the research, he does the consulting, and this guy does the writing. This is the second time he's collaborated with a different author to write a Dracula-based book. And the premise of this book is Bram Stoker met Dracula in person and Dracula was real, and then he wrote his book about it based on Bram Stoker's actual life, which Dacre Stoker, as his descendant, knows a lot about because he is the protector of the Stoker Dracula estate, and he will tell you absolutely everything you need to know about that estate and anything you need to know about Bram Stoker. So for historical lore research purposes, I'm very excited. However, the last time he collaborated with a separate author, not this author, the book was terrible. It was one of the worst vampire books I've ever read. So I don't know if this author is better than that author, and maybe this book will actually be good. But either way, I'm curious. I'm interested. Next month, a month from now, we will discuss this book. Written by a white man for the first time.
Upgrade? Well, John Burns says he posted the diary entries of my grandfather boarding the Olympic in 1916 in the Titanic video comments. Did we see it?
I think I did see that. I didn't actually go and read it, but I saw that you mentioned it because I see everything.
Yeah, if you actually want us to see something, you got to email us.
Email, like Lindsay's email is in her profile. You can't...
Yeah, it's in my Twitter profile. Like in general, it's like if I mean, leaving a comment on YouTube is nice for algorithm reasons, but like we literally get thousands of comments every time.
We cannot reply to the comments.
Yeah, we don't.
I appreciate them, especially when people are like, "Yay, Elisa, you're doing God's work." Yes, I thumb those up. Even though it's like it's Lindsay's account. The only time I thumb something up is when someone mentions me personally by name.
You're allowed. You can say whatever. Just note that it's you. Yeah. Like currently, my pinned tweet and the J.K. Rowling thing is P is stored in the balls, so it's not exactly like a like a paragon of dignity.
Oh, thank you, Marley Newman, for the $5. I love you both since Makeover Fairy Days. Speaking of which, any thoughts on Clone High Season 2 announcement? I had not heard that announcement.
I hadn't either. Both our books have audiobooks.
Yes, both our books have audiobooks. I have an entire stack of audiobooks right here because I can't even give them away because it's a 9 CD set, and who listens to physical media? Anytime I'm like, I'm doing a giveaway, they're like, I'll take the digital download, please.
Oh, give it to my mother. She still has a.
Does she want the 9 CD set? Which
yeah, she still has she has a thing in her car. You know, she
this
still
is
has
a $40 property, and nobody freaking wants it.
Nobody has CD players. My boomer mother still has. Yeah, I'll ask her.
There's another CD version you can get, which is an MP3 CD, which is a whole book on one CD.
No, the CDs is good because like her car has a CD player.
It doesn't read MP3 CDs.
Oh, is it an MP3 CD?
No, this is not. This is
okay.
CD set.
I think it does read
MP3 CD.
No, I think it does read MP3 CDs, but it also reads regular CDs. I know this because she like does the library thing sometimes and actually gets audiobooks that are just like the 18 disc like set. Isn't it bizarre that used to be a thing?
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I don't even know why my publisher released this because not a single person has bought it. You can go to Amazon, even if you're not like self-published, you can go to Amazon and look at who's bought how much of what, and not a single one of the 9 CD set has sold. Plenty of the MP3 CD set have sold. Plenty of the Audible downloads.
I think that's officially, I think of your parents, and I'm like, I don't know if your mom is pimping you, but your dad, like, his car is a 1989 Corolla that does not have a CD player, and then he skipped right to the 2020 Subaru. So
yeah, no,
my whole CD.
I don't think my dad's even read my book. You know, my dad bought Awoken.
I don't think he has either, because Nick was like, yeah, we should give my dad one. I'm like, why? He's not gonna read it. He hasn't even read Lisa's book.
Nick is my brother, by the way. So
yeah, I married her brother. That's the secret.
Lindsay married my brother, which, you know, she couldn't marry me, so
yeah. Which is kind of ironic because you and your brother, like, aside from being avid collectors of things, nothing alike. like nothing in common.
But you're both Transformers fans.
Yeah, that was our thing.
Transformers fans and ketchup fans.
Hold on, Rachel has asked this a couple times. Will Lisa ever join us and on musical splaining?
I don't know. Yeah. You haven't invited me for any of the Phantom things. So what else is there?
Well, I'm just thinking like, well, there's Addams Family, list, because like all of the ones I would invite you to, there's no pros, like Dance of the Vampires, Lestat, like all of the vampire related ones. There's no
pro shots.
There's no pro shots because I'm like that because people like, well, like someone actually asked me today was like, which one would you do if you could do any of them without having to worry about it? I'm like, Lestat the musical, like. 10 out of 10.
And for those of you who don't know, like Lestat is my
Lisa's my sister-in-law.
My life.
Lisa does have Hamilton thoughts, but Hank Green, who is a Hamill virgin, and you guys are getting the tea, like because that was the original plan. Was Hank had never seen Hamilton, so during VidCon we were all gonna go see it together.
VidCon didn't happen. Then Hamilton didn't happen.
Yeah, but we have Hamilton on Disney Plus now, and I asked Hank if he wanted to do it, and he said yes. So we are doing Hamilton after the Love Never Dies episode, but like, Hank is a Hamilton virgin, so I think that'll be
listen to the soundtrack.
He listened to some of it because he references it in his book. I think this will be funny because we're like outing him as a Hamilton virgin.
Oh, he referenced it just to be like hip with the kids, but he didn't actually know.
I mean, he didn't reference it wrong. He was, but yeah, we canceled torture.
Why did you do Love Never Dies? Because there's things to say about it.
Yeah, that was another one we were going to do at VidCon. Like we had two big VidCon plans for 2019, whatever year it is, 2020.
What even is this year?
I don't know what day or year it is. Oh my God, I wanted to do Little Shop. That would be one. Like we should do Little Shop.
Okay, my 5-year-old kid is obsessed with Little Shop of Horrors. He sings it constantly, nonstop. We listen to it in the car every time we go anywhere. Just like in my head.
Yeah, so well, if we Little Shop, that'll be it. Or hopefully, because I did so my, speaking of film rights, so I do have a film rights agent that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Have you sold the option yet?
No, but
you're being very like clingy with it.
Yeah, but my film rights agent is he also represents Linda Wolverton, who wrote the book for Lestat the musical, and she has a professional recording of the soundtrack.
Well, they recorded it, but they never released it. There was
this
big campaign, the hashtag release Lestat campaign.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is like I might be able to get my like if we like, hey guys, buy my stupid book. If it charts, then I'll be in this guy's good graces, and I might be able to get a copy of Lestat the musical. Priorities.
So bad. Like Lestat Anne Rice fiction is my life. Like there is not a day that goes by that I do not have a conversation about Anne Rice's fiction with my circles.
See, I feel like Lestat the musical arguably takes up more real estate in my brain than Love Never Dies. Like it is just like it is the perfect bad musical. It's like the Battlefield Earth of musicals. It's great.
Dutch angles everywhere.
It is just so how do you even explain it? Just
Anne Rice doesn't do fan fiction anymore. She changed her mind.
To endure it. But yeah. I'm hoping I can.
I just want to know what Kaveh thinks about Lestat the musical.
So spoilers for tomorrow's episode. He did have fun with Love Never Dies, but only because he was allowed to talk over it. Because I think that's like the other problem with like these shows live is you have to be so quiet like a child in church. And
so when you watch a pro shot, you can actually like have fun.
Oh yeah, but in general, I'm just like shut up. Like if it was Hamilton, I'd be like shut the fuck up and pay attention.
But
But
when
with
we
love,
like Lisette the musical on Broadway, you were like, "We're drinking, we're getting drunk. This is drunk watch." And
we saw Lestat like 3 times. So like,
oh, thank you, Kevin Lechuga, 99 Mexican dollars. Second super chat because the family secrets and musical teases left me shook. I'm glad you're.
I mean, it's not like a secret. Like, I was a little cagey about it for a while, just because, like, and here's the other
You didn't
true
want to
truth.
get harassed, right? Like,
yeah, he worked for SpaceX. He worked for Elon Musk. But he has not worked there for more than a year, so it's not a big deal anymore. But at the time, it was sort of like, you know, I didn't want to endanger his job. He's an engineer. He's not online at all. He's like the opposite of us.
He's my quiet little brother.
Yeah, he's he is presently on the other side of that door, working on his new fish tank. He just got his freshwater tank up and running.
He collects animals.
Oh man, I wish there was a Spider-Man pro shop. We've been looking, like we have gotten, people have been sending me like bootlegs. None of them are good enough. Like,
no, they're not.
They're honestly kind of worse than the one that's on YouTube. I want to do because I have seen Spider-Man the musical. Like,
it
was me, you, Allison, and Todd. Yeah, and
did Paul go with us?
No, it was just the 4 of us.
Just the 4 of us.
I swear, because I remember it being just like a block of 4.
Live action fan fiction like the day after, so he must have.
No, yeah, and then I think he came visited like that day and might have like filmed it. Danny likes Nick. They took a walk to a bookstore together.
Yes, you have met my brother twice.
No, he's met him a bunch of times. But yeah, I'm still like, if any of you lead on a good, because I know there's a good Spider-Man bootleg out there. Like
for us,
if any of you have a lead on it, mail me. My email is in my bio, my Twitter bio. Man, because like
Todd in the Shadows, Todd.
That Todd, yeah.
That's not his real name. That's why we make fun of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that's like not really a secret anymore. Like, his real name is Kenny. He often appears on.
We actually know him.
Yeah, like he often appears on streams without a mask. Like he doesn't bother. Like because the mask is a shtick, and he adopted it because he thought he was going to be a teacher. And we see how. Don't go to grad school, kids.
You dig a guy in a mask, especially for my monster boyfriend.
No, Sarah does not. She can't help us. Sadly, she doesn't know about Spider-Man bootlegs. But yeah, oh my god, the David Letterman A Freak Like Me leads company. I love Spider-Man the musical.
So the only Spider-Man
my white whale. Give me Spider-Man. If you know someone
sent you the Spider-Man bootleg and they're like, here it is. This is the best one. This is it. I got it. I sent it to you, except it doesn't have a freak like me. That part's cut out.
It doesn't have a freak like me, and also like it's like the sound is terrible.
And what's even the point? If it doesn't have a freak like me, what's the point?
Yeah. It's like I have to edit together something. I don't know.
Like Frankenstein and Spider-Man together, show it to Kaveh and be like, think.
It really makes you think. That's my white whale, because we have to do a season finale, such as it were, in July. So at the end of September. And so like if that can be it, then
that'd be great.
Yeah, it would be good. Otherwise, I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're definitely putting on pause.
Great. Do some breathing.
Yeah.
Holidays.
But yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoy it. As soon as we're done here, I gotta go finish. I'm only like 4 minutes into the the current cut of the Love Never Dies episode. I just need to cut in my 10 years old stuff like that.
I thought Paul did that for you.
No, I do it. I mean, I would ask. It's just quicker for me to do it because I know which, how like which thing I want and where, and it would, he would have to like listen to it, and it just, it's one of those things where just like it's quicker for me to do it.
You should show your book because it's been sitting there in the corner of your screen this whole time, and you haven't actually like shown it.
Well, that's not what this stream is for.
But you're my guest, and you should have a moment of self-promotion. It's not a vampire book, but it does have a monster. It does have,
alien cannibalism. See, here's my terrible, awful, God, I hate it. Why did I do this? But Nick is happy because it's got his Japanese maples in the, see right here?
That's such a Nick thing to be happy about.
Yeah, before they got fried by the sun.
Show the cover of the book. And yes, it is available in audiobook. Everyone in Lindsay's comments ever. Yes,
oh my God.
Available.
Google it. Oh my God.
It's not a thing that should have to be said, but yes, it is. You can get it on Audible and not Audible. Also, if you don't want to.
Yeah. Please stop emailing us. Like, it's Ollie Philosophy Tube does part of the audiobook. So if you're a Philosophy Tube fan and you're interested,
so it has a dual narrator. Like the protagonist main voice is a lady, and there's like sections in between that are man, and that is Ollie.
Yeah. So we've got so excited.
July 21st.
Yeah.
July 21st.
Thank you for pre-ordering. See, now I'm like dread because I was just like, oh, it might hit the bestseller list, and now I'm dreading it because like these fucking idiots are like, you're just going after J.K. Rowling to promote your book, and if it hits the bestseller list, they're gonna be like,
yeah. One of the comments I have to like moderate the most is people being like, oh, so you decided to care about a thing because you're selling a book. And it's like, yes, because Lindsay never cares about things ever.
I guess
Ana Franco for the $2. Bye.
The Spanish, well, here's the thing. They don't usually sell the foreign rights until after it gets published in English and they see what the demand is. So we haven't sold any foreign rights yet, but that's not really anything that like fans can volunteer for. What will happen is they'll sell it to a local publisher, and then they will translate it, and then that will be the end of that. Yes, Lisa being the mom to my teenagerness is not inaccurate, because she also like is in charge of my email and will be like, "Are you going to answer this?"
Just like your permanent secretary.
Alien cannibalism.
I'm
just stretching. Like I'm like, it's only implied.
You don't eat. Aliens don't eat.
Well, half of them.
It's a
whole thing. Yeah, the ones that,
the ones that do eat.
The ones that do eat.
But the other ones are like Transformers. They just need their like.
It's like Morlocks and Eloy.
Yes. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say anything. Any other questions about Crave?
I think we should. Yeah. Well, it's time to start winding it down. So, Alien Cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Foreign rights. You can't really sell porn rights because that's covered under fair use.
Movie rights, she's had offers, but hasn't accepted anything.
Alien BDSM. Well, that's the second book.
The force powers.
Force choking.
Force choking.
Spoilers.
Oh, Kylo.
Sexy boys. You're just such sexy boys.
Well, thank you, John Burns, for the Canadian $5, which is silly. It's obvious that Lindsay is hitching her wagon to Margaret Atwood shooting star.
Such a feminist. Is that what people think about whenever they're like, is this feminist? What they mean is this
like, am I allowed
The Handmaid's
to like
Tale?
this?
And is it specifically make a comment on a specific political thing that is specifically going on right now?
And there's so many agents or publishers I follow that are like, I don't want issue books that are about issues. I want things that are about people with people that just happen to be okay.
I mean, they say that, but like issues sell. Like there's a reason why, it's.
We would not have picked up Crave if it had not been marketed specifically as the Feminist Twilight.
Yeah, it worked.
That was actually good. Actually,
it worked. Yeah,
it sure did. It got us interested. Got Jenny Trout interested. It's got deckled edges, which
they did it. Yeah,
made me fancy, like.
The sad boy death match, Edward, Kylo, or Jackson. I don't know, Jackson sucks so much. I kind of want to remove him from the running.
He's got like these godlike powers, like absolute godlike powers. What about Riley? Why is Riley not in this equation? He's freaking Cthulhu.
Yeah.
He will destroy you all. He will eat your souls.
I don't know. Can we talk about like our criticisms of Awoken?
Okay. Criticism of Awoken.
Because I definitely like...
Thank you, Michael, for the $2. Whatever happened to Nella? Nella is alive and well and thriving, and you should watch her YouTube channel.
She's fine. She didn't read this book, so that's why she's not
her
here.
Podcast, which is
she's got a podcast. We still
follow her on Patreon.
It's just we all live in states now. That's pretty much it. But Awoken. I don't know. It's just like with 7 years of hindsight, I realize now that it was not a very good parody because it was just too straightforward.
We knew what parody was. Like,
we thought it was so funny because then we were just doing it,
and we did that trope.
Yeah, so we just did tropes, so it's just a YA book. But I will say that Awoken is like 9,000 more times readable than Crave because it's half as long
and does planting and payoff,
all the same shit.
Set up everything that needs to be like paid off. Like,
what is Nella's YouTube channel?
I think it's Nella Explains a Thing.
Yeah, just Google Nella Explains a Thing, and I'm pretty sure her name is Nellacronism, like anachronism on YouTube.
Nellacronism.
Yeah.
Or you go to her Twitter. It's probably linked in her profile.
Yeah. But I think, because like in hindsight, I'm like, the only real major problem with Awoken is like some of the chapters are kind of written boringly. And some of them are like, because that's a problem. Like some of us were approaching it as like, is a parody. Some of us were like approaching it like
comedy.
Yeah, my chapters were like, I am embodying this Midwestern mom. And some of them are just chapters.
Yeah. Well, thank you, John Burns, for Canadian $2. 1774. Tell me about the Revolution, George. 2.
Yeah. Well, 13Z. It was supposed to be a subtle parody, but
we were supposed to be writing it as the author, and the author herself was a parody. So we want people to think that she was sincere, and yet we have chapters where he's like using every synonym for little in the entire dictionary.
Yeah, like. There are some things that like I will read it and I'm like shitting myself laughing, but I'm like I'm only laughing because I know what the joke is, and I feel like if you don't
know Phantom of the Opera inside and out, you'll get the joke.
Yeah, if you know New York, if you know this idea of like an author that does no research, then it'll be funny. But that's another thing. I'm just like Awoken is a better research Crave, like because that was another one of my notes was like that's not what altitude sickness feels like. I know this because I go into the mountains all the time. Like it gives you a headache. It doesn't really make you nauseous, and it gives you insomnia. Like if you get nausea, it's very light and water cures it. Like unless you're going into like the space, oxygen is a legit concern, which makes no fucking sense because someone had to castle. I'm still hung on like the fact that there's a castle in like
who came up there and built the castle? Like magic vampires?
Like, and then they're talking about how hard it is to get Ben and Jerry's, and I'm just like, but someone has to like service the castle. Like, where are they getting like gas from? Like, where are they getting?
No, how's their Wi-Fi work?
Yeah, it's just like they have to get services, and like they have cell phone reception and all this stuff. It doesn't make sense. Like they came from sea level to like halfway up.
Especially whatever cell service she had in San Diego still works at this castle. She didn't have to switch to special Alaska cell.
Like altitude sickness really only kicks in after like 6,000 feet. That's a lot. Like 6,000 feet is like about as tall as the Appalachian Mountains get, period.
And there was a scene where she met the villain, who we didn't know was a villain yet, and the villain gave her tea, and then immediately after she pukes, and she's like, oh, it's the altitude sickness. And I was like, so it's the tea, right? It's the tea. But that can't be right, because it's so obvious. So it must be a misdirect. No, it really was the tea.
Yeah. It's just like, how do you get, like, I was kind of waiting for them to explain that, like, oh, the castle was built with magic, but no. But even if it was
a legit Hogwarts castle. It was huge, it was sprawling, it was epic.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, there are no, I don't know, I've never been to Alaska, but I know enough about like the lack of infrastructure there to know that like buildings greater than 2 stories are just not a thing. You know, it's not like in New York where they like deconstructed that castle and then rebuilt it in Washington Heights, you know.
Michael asks, any chance you guys doing a skit again? I love Maven and see Nella skits back in the day. Well, no. Considering that Lindsay lives in California, I live in North Carolina, and Nella lives in New York.
Maybe they will. Like, I don't like. I have a hard no on acting of any kind.
Lindsay doesn't like acting. She never liked doing skits. It was all under duress.
Yeah, I never liked
Ella and I love it, but when do we see each other?
Yeah, it just To Boldly Flee ruined me. I will never ever, like, I won't even act in your voiceover thing. Please stop asking me. I will not do it.
Email Lindsay all the time being like, I have a part for you, and I have to, hi, this is Lisa, Lindsay's assistant. She says no.
Yeah, the answer is no. I will not act for any reason. Not like I'm like the guy in The Wizard of Oz. No way, no how. But yeah, so like I think maybe this author was a Gargoyles fan, because Roland brings up like Xanatos building the castle, like,
and the Hudson, and she's a secret gargoyle at the end. I mean, she looks the age to have been a gargoyle, so she looks like our age, right? Like, sure. maybe 5 years older at most. Like,
I mean, who doesn't like gargoyles? Everybody likes gargoyles.
I'm literally obsessed with gargoyles.
Yeah, so Xanatos like just helicopter to castle. So, but you think you're just like, at least they would explain that, because I was thinking like, well, maybe it's like an X-Men mansion. I could kind of buy that ? But no, it's just got like 18 stories.
Someone asked, would they like Awoken if they haven't read Twilight? Yes. If you haven't read Twilight, you will still like Awoken. And you should.
That's because like the thing about Awoken is it is, because it was written by 8 people, it is very uneven. Like, some of the chapters are really boring, and some of them are very straightforward, and some of them are funny as fuck.
Chapters you think are boring, right?
I don't know. Let's see, which was a boring one.
Goliath was #goals. Yes, he was.
There's I think was this a Nella chapter? There's one where I mean, honestly, it's like, I think it's funny, but it doesn't work, because it's like, it's not funny if you're not in on the joke, because there's one chapter where Andy's friends take her to task for being so irresponsible, and like,
oh yeah, where she gets like super grounded.
Yeah, and they're like,
her friends are like, how could you go be like, leave us all and not call? And she's like, because feelings. That was a Nella chapter.
Yeah. So it's like, it's well written, because I know that was one she felt really strongly about, because like, I hate this trope in YA where like people,
where like the parents are neglected.
Yeah, the parents don't do anything, and the friends don't react, and like people don't act like people if you just disappear like 3 days. Let's see. Was the Let's Go Swimming chapter yours?
That was mine. That was the date that wasn't going to be a date. Oh, thank you, Anna Franco, for the $5. 37 cents. It's going to wait a little longer for Lindsay's book.
Let's
Do
see.
it. John Burns for $2 Canadian. Remember when being well read was desirable? So desirable. Someone asked if I'm still friends with anyone from Channel Awesome. Do you mean like besides my husband and like my other best friends?
Damn it, I lost my place. Anyway, like, yeah, I guess I feel like a lot of the draggy chapters to me are because Riley makes no sense as a character.
But where they go on the swimming date was supposed to be a pointless date that did nothing for the plot.
Yeah, I think that was my problem with it, where I'm just like, but this...
And it was also supposed to be their first kiss, and I wrote this first kiss, and it's gross, because she, like, spits on him, and then he kisses her, and it's really gross. And I was, like, writing it like this. I was like, this is disgusting.
Now I remember.
And I wound up using it as setup for stuff that pays off in the climax, like the establishing of his sister and the other characters, and I was like, crap, I made it plot relevant. I wasn't supposed to make it plot relevant, but I did.
I think... I mean, I do kind of feel like it's, I don't know, like it didn't need to be plot relevant, because I think that the thing that a lot of these lack is momentum, and like a lot of these chapters that are kind of boring will be just kind of like her mooning over Riley and where is Riley? God, where is he? Like stuff like that. Like, and you know, like regardless of who wrote it, it gets really tedious.
Someone asked if we've read any books by POC authors in Vampire Book Club. No, we have not. A few have been up for the vote, but haven't won the vote. If you have any recommendations, join the book club and put them in the suggestions channel, because I want to hear your recommendations for books by POC.
Always Fledgling.
I've already read Fledgling.
Well, you've already read
books that I haven't read yet.
I haven't read it.
You haven't read Fledgling?
Yeah, that's like the one I haven't read. Everyone kind of warned me off it.
Because it has like a 10-year-old having sex.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of the, like, that's what the, like, because I, like earlier when I was talking about how I feel like fiction should be like a safe space to feel out ideas that you would never fuck with in the real world. I don't know how I feel about that. You know, like this extremely hypothetical trope of an old person in a child's body. You know, because on the one hand, yikes, but on the other hand, like, I mean, but there are dwarves in the real world, and you know, they're short. And it's just like, well, what makes a child? You know, I don't know. I'm just.
But also in Fledgling, it's not that the man she sleeps with is attracted to the child's body. Her vampire magic makes him attracted to her. So it's like forced pedophilia that he wouldn't have been into normally.
Yeah, it's just like. These are so extremely hypothetical that it's hard to be like, well, what is the problem? On the other hand, I'm just, I don't know, like it's a trope that I genuinely don't know how to feel about. Like I'm into it, but I don't want to condemn it. Like Claudia, the vampire,
Butler does is she asks the questions and doesn't give the answers, and she's just like, y'all figure it out. Yeah. Thank you, Anthony Wheeler, for $5.
And I do like that, and I do appreciate it. Yeah, it's just like the whole 400-year-old in a, because that's the other thing about like Twilight and Crave, where they're like 100 years old, but they're in a 17-year-old's body, and it's like, okay, fine. Yeah. I guess personally, I'm kind of like as a 35-year-old,
the 100-year-old in a 17-year-old's body being with an actual 17-year-old, or the 100-year-old in a 17-year-old's body being with like an adult who's attracted to that 17-year-old body? Like, what's worse? What's just the 17-year-old supposed to do?
I don't know. Now that I am 100, I do find it weird. Like, I think like it is weird. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, unless there's some like you can make an argument for there being some hormonal thing that keeps you immature.
It's like I never age past 17 in my brain.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, but then she's gonna age and he's not. Whatever. Like.
The super chat.
I think there's, I don't buy it. I don't buy that a 100-year-old vampire would be into a 17-year-old. What Transformer? Wheeljack, the only good Transformer. He's up there. I could go get him, but then I'd have to sit up.
John Burns sends $5 Canadian. In the fantasy novel The Sleeping Dragon, college students get transported to a world they are playing in when a cripple becomes a dwarf. Of course, the cripple.
That's the plot of Jumanji. Yeah, see, I don't know. It's just sort of like I think fundamentally I don't like the idea that you can be really dogmatic about a piece of fiction and what it means, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're writing something as like a fantasy, that's a fantasy. It might not be your fantasy, but it's a fantasy that will speak
Like
to
certain
someone.
elements are worth describing, but whenever people are like A equals B and it's a one-to-one thing, I'm like,
Mm.
you know, uh, this is propaganda, like literal propaganda. Then I'm just like, guys, we
All
need,
fiction is problematic. There are no.
yeah, like the Tolkien thing is really, really exhausting right now. Where it's just like, you know, like the whole dwarf thing, and people are calling him anti-Semitic, and it's like, you're really, really oversimplifying. It's not even that complex an issue, but it's just we can, yeah, you know. Oh, it's so exhausting. I don't know. I don't know how to engage with it because people expect me to, and I find it really tiring. It's kind of like whenever I tweet about the Beatles and people are trying to blow my mind with, did you know John Lennon hit his wife? I'm like, tell me more.
I do live in a society.
We live in a society. You don't say. Like,
I don't know how it works in Crave. Like, how is he 100 but looks 16 and is in high school? Do they?
and the high school is still trucking, and Hudson graduated a year ago. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if.
Is he Baby Yoda and he just hasn't aged? Or is he just, because he did spend like 25 years in the Fortress of Solitude up in the ice with his like Batman mentor learning martial arts, which is in the bonus chapters.
Sure.
And she's called like the Blood Letter, and she's another Black woman who's like wise. She's basically the Oracle from the Matrix,
oh my God,
who trained him in all his like super fancy vampire.
This is like a fake Hydra.
Yes. And then he went to high school after that, because as you do.
Oh, so he just got started. So in a way, he is 17. But with Tolkien, like, because people are like, you know, talk about how problematic he is, and I'm like, guys, I don't know. I feel like there's a difference between being careless and being malicious. But I think that something like J. Rowling is a lot more careless, where you have like these goblins and like their only function in the narrative is to like be the gold grubbers. And like that is a trope. But like, you know, you look at Tolkien's dwarves and how have been reinterpreted over the years as like these sexy beard men. And like, I guess kind of one of those like, he, you know, yes, he did integrate some iffy tropes, but it was arguably intended as a subversion of like, you know, Wagner's Ring Cycle, which is another thing. Like the Tolkien movie incorporated him like liking Wagner, which
oh no,
he did not do.
No!
Like that's another thing.
Why would they do that?
Like Tolkien's because obviously he has been kind of reappropriated by white supremacists.
It's the new Wagner.
But like oh my God, like he would have hated that because he hated Hitler doing the same thing to Norse mythology. Like he specifically like was like, oh my God, I can't believe this dumb little like ignoramus is taking Norse mythology and trying to use it to like bolster his claims of like European supremacy. I hate that. Like, and so, man, I just, people throwing like Tolkien into the fire with Lovecraft just pisses me off. Like, it's just wrong.
And you will soon learn more about this when Lindsay releases her video on Tolkien.
Yeah, tomorrow. Well, no, tomorrow. It's Wednesday. But
what is today? I don't know.
Yeah, fuck day.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Lindsay's
no, I'm doing like
join your Patreon and you'll get a link.
Yeah, it's for the PBS channel. It's about construction of language, but like the Dwarvish language is based on Hebrew, and like it's a thing. It was intentional. Like he, it's not even coding. Like he said that was what he was doing. So I feel like that is, it's worth discussing. But like I feel like worth discussing and discussing like integration of tropes versus like trying to intentionally be respectful. Like it's just not the same thing as saying like this guy is problematic and we need to throw him into a fire.
Black people.
Yeah. Lovecraft is trash. That doesn't mean his stories are. I think it is.
They're kind of trash. That's why we made fun of them.
I think like because people like torturing over Lovecraft. I'm just like, why? He's dead. His stuff is in the public domain. Who cares?
Pissing off the Lovecraft fans, right? Because they take it so damn seriously.
I guess that is true. Like,
yes, your Cthulhu is not a sexy high school boy.
Yeah, we definitely got some
crybabies.
We got some heat. Princess is going to be in the next one, which is about War and Peace.
War and Peace.
War and Peace.
Yes.
Yes, I did learn. I learned Quenya in high school. I didn't learn Quenya. I learned the script because the script is actually really easy to learn. It's kind of like I think that's true of like katakana and Devanagari. It's just like they're actually surprisingly easy to learn if you take like a week to figure it out. So I got to the point where I could actually like write notes in class and pass them off. So I wouldn't say I was like fluent, but I got to the point where I could like understand Tengwar, but I was definitely like writing English, like, because that's the thing about Tengwar.
It was like being Japanese in high school.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like katakana, or it is katakana, right?
Yeah.
So katakana is katakana the easy one?
Yes. The one that's like English letters.
Yeah. I don't speak Japanese. So yeah, katakana is the one where you can basically write English words. So like Tengwar is the same way, where it's kind of like Devanagari, honestly, too, where it's like you can. I mean, there are some vowel sounds that don't exist in Hindi, but you can make them exist, like the X sound and stuff like that, where it's just like you can just take a K and an S and figure it out. But yeah, white supremacists
has always been one of you.
One of us, what? Oh, because yeah, katakana is the sounds one. But Devanagari is, to me, Tengwar reminds me the most of Devanagari in Hindi scripture, not scripture, just script. But just because of like the topi, which is like the way the words kind of connect, and also, so pretty and also like in Devanagari, the way they do vowels is like, it'll be like a consonant and then they'll like put a switch on it. So that's how you know what the vowel is. And Tengwar does the same thing, is like, instead of like a letter equaling the vowel, it'll be like a consonant and then a switch, which tells you is it an E, is it an E, is it an U? And Tengwar does the same thing. And that's your Elvish lesson for the day.
Vampires? I mean, next time.
Is there a vampire script?
This book. This is what we're reading next time. Join the Vampire Book Club on Discord, or just come back here in about a month.
Has nobody done a vampire script? Like, is there no like vampire?
Blade had a vampire language,
like a conlang. Yeah,
they had a whole vampire language in Blade. It was like hieroglyphy. It was pretty terrible. I don't know if it actually had any logic to it, or if it was just like, visual. Like ancient vampire languages.
Like with Lovecraft, I don't think I have read any of his like legit racist stuff. I think I just, for whatever reason, skipped over it because it's just like, it's so dense. It's just, I can't get into it. And like, even as a person who gives a shit, I can't.
Does Tolkien have vampires?
No, Skyrim does.
I don't know what you're talking about, just Andre. Lindsay says there's no Tolkien vampires, and everything I know about Tolkien I learned from Lindsay. So,
no, there's no Tolkien vampires. It's not a thing.
Thank you, Josh. You're sweet.
Like, I guess there's like energy vampires, sort of, not really. But there's definitely no traditional vampires. unless I'm about to get like schooled.
Came into your house.
Come into my house. I don't know. Someone turning into a vampire is like, it's a bit of a stretch.
It's like Voldemort.
Yeah.
He's immortal. He's awful. He sucks your life away.
What is my favorite vampire story? I don't know.
Well, I don't even know what. No, well, I guess Anne Rice is mine, but beyond that, I don't know what my favorite is.
I don't know. I guess Skyrim. No, actually, I take that back. I don't actually, because like the Skyrim thing on like not my favorite, so I take that back. I don't know. Like I did probably Interview with the Vampire. The only good vampire movie.
The only good vampire story in existence. But you haven't read the books, have you?
Yeah, I read it. I read Interview. Not a fan. I like the movie way better. I just don't like her.
The movie is excellent.
I just don't like her writing. I just couldn't get into it. It was just like so. Purple. I don't want to say overwritten, but like it was just very like
a lot of scenery, a lot of flowers,
yeah,
a lot of night air having smells.
I'm like, where's the dialogue?
You would have not liked the book we read last month.
I didn't like the book we read this month.
I don't know why you joined the vampire book club. You don't even like vampires.
Well, I was like, oh, this will be an excuse to read this thing. It's all Jenny's fault. So yeah, I guess
Jenny's fault.
Yeah.
You should go follow Jenny Trout because she inspires us.
Yeah, I mean, the Jealous Haters book club is really funny to read, and she she's very fair. She's like, mean for the sake of being mean. She definitely gives fair shake, and whenever she likes it, she'll give it credit. But yeah, I haven't caught up on her Crave entries.
And she took a hiatus, so I don't think there is anything more.
Yeah. Oh well. I guess
yeah, we beat her. Now she's gonna be like, why should I do it? Lindsay and Lisa have already talked about it, so like she notices us.
Yeah. I mean, she has been. I guess we should wrap it up in a couple minutes. But if you guys have any questions,
any last questions, last thoughts about vampires or otherwise?
I mean, I do kind of appreciate Queen of the Damned, the movie, because
you like Korn. You were a big Korn fan.
Yeah, it's just that, and also Aaliyah. Like, I mean, here's the thing: like, Aaliyah brings her A game. Like,
yeah,
she knows what movie she's in, but she's also better than the movie she's in. So
nobody ever complains about Aaliyah in that movie.
Why do you keep asking me about Max Landis? I don't fucking know that guy. When did you know? Like, I have inside intel.
The Silmarillion is not technically a vampire book. You take that back.
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah, I'm just like, God damn, you're gonna be going to the fucking Tolkien wiki after this, aren't you? Are we going to make Kaveh watch a vampire musical?
If Lestat happens, if
we can find a good boot of Lestat.
There is no good boot or pro shot of Dracula the musical, of Dance of the Vampires, of Tanz der Vampire, of Lestat the musical, of any of those other ones, Nosferatu the musical, none whatsoever. And musical splaining has quality standards. You can't just watch any old bootleg.
Yeah, because it's like you have to at least get a sense of the experience. And that was a frustrating thing about the American Idiot episode we did, was as I was watching it, I'm like, man, I know this would be better if I was in the room with these people, and it just it's so frustrating. Any news on the Coteries games?
Oh, that's my next live stream. Paul and I are trying to decide if we should start it as a Patreon video or start it as a live stream. We haven't made up our mind yet, but it'll be by the end of the month, one way or another. It's a vampire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play. A dramatic reading of My Immortal. That is technically a vampire story, isn't it? There's vampires in My Immortal?
It sounds really boring though, because the thing about My Immortal is it's kind of funny, like the first couple chapters, but
yes, like the opening paragraph is.
Good God, it gets boring. Are you looking forward to Bloodlines 2?
Yes, I actually am, surprisingly. $2 from Michael Mathern. Are you looking forward to Bloodlines? Oh, you just read that. Why did it come up delayed for me? I'm sorry. I'm repeating you now. You must be seeing the chat like a minute ahead of me.
Yeah, weird, because we're not on a lag.
No.
On our call. Huh. Although I think we are like at least 20 seconds ahead of you guys in the chat. So yeah, I don't know. I think the thing about My Immortal is it's done. Sarah Z actually did a pretty good little rundown of like the history of My Immortal. And it is actually kind of like wild, like how
I saw the thing recently where there's like, we found the author.
They thought they found the author and then they didn't, and then they thought they found her again, and then it turned out that was fake, and now they still don't know. Like it is this, yeah, it's actually really interesting. So just look on YouTube for Zara Z about the her My Immortal episode, because she did a pretty good deep dive on that.
YouTubers that are better than we are, just watch them. Answer all your questions.
Yeah. Van Helsing. I don't know, it's fine.
Van Helsing is terrible. I hate it.
It's funny. I haven't watched it since it came out.
Beckinsale looks really pretty. I like her.
Her jacket is great.
She's got a good corset.
10 out of 10 on that corset.
Did you that corset once?
I did, because there was a point in my life.
I used to make cosplay for hire.
Yeah, I used to make costumes for people. And I did for someone else, but like I guess they gave me the wrong measurements, because that one just I bought like leather. I made a leather corset too. And did not, it was just too big. It was just way too big for her, and so that was a bummer. But hashtag we tried.
You like practice your corset making skills.
Mm-hmm. Still not very good. Well, the hardest thing about making a corset is, to me, the eyelets, because those fuckers are hard not to just like stretch the fabric. So I never really quite figured out how to do that.
Then there was a time you made costumes for like 8 of us to be the entire cast of Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, weird. And there was no blackface at the time. I took for granted that was just like normal, but apparently not. Now that everyone on earth is being outed as having blackface.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I did a video on that. It's on my channel. I did a video on all these things you guys are talking about. You should just look at my channel.
Google it. All right, one more
question. Your last question for Lindsay. Our special guest tonight on Vampire Book Club. She's never coming back again. So
never.
Most of it.
I'll come back if it's a shorter book. I should have checked. I should have been like, wow, 17 hours on Audible.
It was 100.
I was like, it's YA. I'm like, oh, cool, 80,000 words.
Yeah, compared to Twilight, it's going to be a light, fluffy read.
Yeah, I was just like, this is going to be quick. Because I like, again, Blood Air Day. I was like, it's going to be like that. Cool.
Yeah. Will I read the Crave sequels? No. But I hope someone does and tells me about them so I don't have to. Someone in book club volunteered to, and I'm like, yes, take one for the team. Thank you.
No, I don't play D&D.
I have played D&D. I started recently. We were playing The Curse of Strahd, which is the vampire D&D. We didn't get very far before the virus made us stop, but
book recs, that would be a good note to go out on.
All right.
I guess I'll start because I don't have any vampire book recs. But my favorite book that I read last year was Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik.
I've heard of that. That was good.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It's also kind of like the rare book that like does multiple POVs really well. Yeah, it's kind of a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, but I also kind of feel like she really dug Lee Pace in The Hobbit. Like I definitely like, it's kind of like, imagine if, you know, Thranduil was Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay.
But yeah, it actually works really well. Really dug it. Blood Air is perfectly serviceable. It's fine. Yeah, as far as YA parent, I was like solid, 3 out of 5, whatever. But yeah, I really like Spinning Silver. It is it's a little low-key Beauty and the Beast. So if you're into that, you should definitely read it.
Like My Monster Boyfriend.
Yeah, you'd like it. I think you'd like it. It's long too. It's like longer than Crave, but it does not feel it.
There you go. Michael asked if we've seen Vlad the Impaler versus Count Dracula. I have not. Book Rex, not Vampire Book Rex. What have I read recently? Really like this one, which is a giant book. This is a Priority of the Orange Tree. It is a high fantasy about dragons and just like, it's like, I think it was marketed as Game of Thrones, but multicultural or something, or feminist. I don't know. It has women in it.
I love marketing.
But it's like Eastern Chinese dragons versus Western Game of Thrones type dragons, and like people with magical powers. But it was really good, really readable. I got through it really fast, even though it's this
long. To answer Tony Parker, no, Spinning Silver was not the book Reddit got. It was our bread tube. Yeah, anyway. But it was the book that they were kind of pissy about was The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Cowell.
All right, that one. I also recommend this one, Strange Practice, which does have vampires in it, but doesn't really feel like a vampire book. This was good. I think I talked about this one before, though.
With your hard copies, but yes, I also, if you liked Crave, read Awoken.
Here's another non-vampire one. The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein retold from Elizabeth's point of view, but she's like awesome. So feminist Elizabeth, I guess, I don't know. But it makes Frankenstein even darker and gothic, and Victor is absolutely the villain, which is hot. So Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, loved it. And read Awoken, because we still get royalties.
Yeah, we still get money. Yeah,
it's only $5 on Kindle. It'd be yours.
Fictionfun.com editor's choice, the West Milton Star Book of the Year. I feel like this joke is like still hilarious.
Perfect. It's a real fine.
It's so funny because like Hank was like texting me, he's like, why are you fucking doing this? I'll take like good reviews and make them sound like they're dissing me, and I'm like, because it's funny. Like I
have you seen Lindsay's Twitter header? If you don't know what she's talking about,
I have the best author banner on Twitter. Yeah, it's a ... real fine. The New York Times Gazette.
New York Times Square
Gazette.
Which is fake.
I'm sorry. It's still. Yeah, I'm sorry. I stole that joke from you guys.
And then the tag that's on the front is "In dreams he came."
In dreams he came. And like, was it the catchphrase is, "In his home at Relia, great Cthulhu lies dreaming ... of her." It's still funny.
That doesn't hurt your heart. You're doing it wrong.
But yeah, so my book comes out a week from tomorrow. If you liked Awoken, but thought, hey, this could use like way more like talking about politics and long tangents about linguistics, then.
And if you like aliens that have like awesome, cool powers,
yeah,
with maidens,
just like Cthulhu. Yeah, so I definitely have the best author banner. So yeah, I just want this to start a trend. I don't think it will, because everyone's
too sincere for you.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I think the only thing that is getting me through this nightmare of a year is just shit posting through the ridiculous, like the sheer ridiculousness that is author branding and like the way people like self-promote and like, oh, it's just so ridiculous. I'm just like, how do you live with yourself? I don't get it.
Just gotta like swallow your soul.
You are trash. Your book is trash. Own it.
But it's like every single time someone comments on me and they're like, oh, you wrote a book. And I'm like, I guess I'm not promoting it enough. Not like I don't talk about it all the damn time. Read my book.
And that's why nobody bought the like 19 CD.
Yeah. Free on Kindle Unlimited. Not that you don't have to pay for that, but you can read it right now. And I still get paid, so it's cool.
Yeah, they pay by the page, right?
They do. If you read something on Kindle Unlimited and you want to support the author, flip all the way to the end of the book, even if you don't read the book, and you will support that author, and you're good.
Yeah. This I don't know. I'm just like, you have to like, because this is something I have like struggled, and I'm still struggling with, which is just like that no one is going to promote your work but you. Like, you're the only advocate for your work. But then you have to get past the, I guess, mental roadblock of
I'll look like I'm vain and then people will hate me.
Honestly, that's not what bothers me. I don't care about that. What bothers me is, who cares? This is fundamentally not important, like in the grand scheme of everything that's going on in the world. And I don't know. I still kind of struggle with that. That's why I shit post so much, because I don't think the book is bad. I think it's fine. It's not great, but whatever. Some of you will love it. Some of you will hate it. Most of you will think it's fine. But like, advocate, it's just like using your platform for this fundamentally unimportant thing that I struggle with. And that is like, I guess that's honestly kind of the irony about like these chuds like coming for me like about this book, where I'm just like, oh, that's what I should be focusing on. And I'm obviously not doing myself any favors by like criticizing J.K. Rowling. But yeah. I think we've read all of Caitlin Doty's books, even though we're JRL just asked.
I've read From Here to Eternity recently.
Yes, I've read all of them, but I am also extremely biased because
she's Val.
Yeah, she's my friend. She's the one I know who has a cabin in the mountains that gives me altitude sickness, which is why I know Crave is bullshit. Altitude sickness. But yeah.
The most ethical way to read our books, I guess, go to a small independent bookstore and ask them to special order it for you, which they will do.
Yeah. And just go to your local bookseller. Someone you want to support.
If you do that, we will make the same amount of money as if you order it for extreme discount from Amazon. So it's not about us, but it's about supporting that business.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, I think it's different from you since you're an indie press, but for me, for a traditionally published, like with a big 5, it doesn't matter. Like,
no, it doesn't matter for me either. I make 10% off the cover price of the cover price. No matter what the book actually sells for, it's the cover price.
Right. So we make a percentage of the MSRP. And that is the same no matter where you buy it. So basically it's like where you want to buy it. But that said, like I've made the mistake before of like thinking I'm supporting an author and buying direct from the publisher, and the book didn't arrive until like 8 weeks after the book came out. So like,
you support the venue that you want to buy it from. Don't worry about us, because we'll get the same no matter what.
Right. But also, like, if you want to read it soon-ish, keep that in mind. Like,
John Burns is $2 Canadian. Even in Canada? Yes, sir. Even in Canada.
Do not order direct from the publisher. I very, very strongly recommend against that.
Go to your local independently owned bookstore. They will order it from their source, usually like a printer. Not the publisher, a printer. And the printer will deliver it in a timely fashion.
Yeah. And in my case, I'm not going to link it, but if you go to any of our virtual tour stops, you get a signed book, and that also holds true for any book that you buy. You go to the link in the thing that is in, I think, the Titanic video, right?
Yes. Or on Lindsay's Twitter.
Yeah.
Can you use Audible free trial to get the audio version? Yes, sir, you can.
Yes.
Yep, you absolutely can. Use your free
Absolutely.
Audible and cancel your Audible and listen. And it doesn't make it different to us. It supports us just the same. So
yeah, super supports us because then, you know, you use my link, which helps me. So yeah, go for it.
yeah. It's all the same. If you pay $5 on Kindle versus $20 on print, same amount of dollars ends up in our pockets. Like it really works out the same.
Yeah, the foreign rights thing is honestly like, God, I don't like I'm gonna level with you. Like my publisher is not being cool about like answering questions because they're very like if it's not world English, they're like not my problem. They're sort of like if you want to buy it, then like get a VPN and pretend you're in America and buy it on Kindle. And yeah, I don't know. It's really frustrating, but the truth is I don't have answers about like why is it so expensive in this country, how do I get it for like I'm just like I don't know, you're gonna have to Google it. I'm sorry. I genuinely don't know, but it's really frustrating for me too. Meat Space Tour, there was supposed to be one next week.
Book 2,
I think maybe paperback for this one.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Like because we don't know when
like a year from now, right?
It depends. Like when they feel like it. Like I think Hank's back came out like 9 months, so maybe in the spring. But I don't know. Yeah.
The name of Lindsay's book is Axiom's End. And if you just go to her Twitter, you'll find it. It's good. You should read it.
It's fine. Solid 3 out of 5. You'll forget you read it in the year.
Cromulent book.
Perfectly fine. It's got words in it.
It's much better than Crave editing wise.
Yes, I will say that. That is my one nice thing I will say. Better than Crave. Come for me, Tracy Wolff. I dare you.
Poster.
But anyway,
anyway,
yeah. Well, this was fun.
Thank you for joining me, Miss Lindsay Ellis.
Well, thanks for taking my requests, and I'm sorry.
Sorry. I was like, Lindsay's recommending it. It must be good. Well,
Jenny recommended it.
Yeah, Jenny.
And Jenny's not here to defend herself. So
go yell at Jenny on Twitter and tell her I sent you. She'll like the engagement because algorithm.
Not Jenny Nielsen, Jenny Trout. Jenny
yes.
DMP, so.
Book Jenny. Yes. And next month we are reading Dracul by Dacre Stoker and JD Barker. You have 1 month to read it. Join the Discord if you want to chat about it until then. Otherwise, we'll see you on this live stream again a month from now. And
have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.